Got a job in Fort Madison, Iowa, my first job out of graduate school. Was there 3 years, and then I became a city administrator in the little town of West Point, and then did that a couple of years, and then came to Macokota, where I was city manager for 14 years, and did that for, like I said, 14 years, and then I went into consulting, did that for about 15 years, and then because of my IPERs being based upon my wages at a certain level and length of time, made the decision to go back to be a city administrator to build up my IPERs base for my pension. So that's when Anamosa called me and said, would you be our city administrator? And I said, boy, so you're telling me I'm going to start my career in a prison town, and now I'm going to end my career in a prison town, which is exactly what happened. Now, I still live in Anamosa, but on the far end of Anamosa, it's about as far away from you can get from the prison. So I understand his optometrist was at the prison.
You said he was under a lot of stress.
Under a lot of stress, yes. I've had two tours of the inside. It is something I think every high school senior class should do. Have a tour of one of the penitentiaries. I think it would really help a lot, but unfortunately, it's not possible because they no longer do tours of the public. But I do share one quick story with you about the penitentiary. After my tour, I said, Mr. Warden, who's your most famous prisoner? He said, oh, that's easy. He said, we had a guy here years and years ago who was beloved by all the other prisoners and all the guards. They absolutely loved him. He was a model prisoner. In fact, he was so good that the guards at that time were allowed to take a prisoner out if they take responsibility for him and then bring him back later in the day. This gentleman had a clown outfit, and he loved to go to kids' birthday parties and entertain children at the birthday parties of the guards, kids, okay? And he was so good, they released him. He would move to Chicago. Anybody want to guess what his name was?
Gacy?
John Wayne Gacy. Model prisoner, entertained all the children of the guards in Anamosa. So, but anyway, retired from being city administrator, went right back into consulting because of all the things I've ever done, it's what I've loved the most. And so I did a lot of searches for city administrators, which I've kind of turned that over to a gentleman named Brent Hinson now, and he does those. And but I still do this, and like I said, the presentations. But I'm at the point in my life I don't have to do these things, but I just enjoy doing them. So I will probably, I'm not sure how much longer, but you never know. Okay. So with that, I'd like to know a little bit about you folks, okay? And as you know, I kind of challenged you, and I said I was going to ask you two questions when you introduced yourself to me, and that was, I want to know, okay, why did you run for office? Because it's a lot easier to sit at home and watch TV on Thursday nights than be here, okay? And so what motivated you to run? And then once everybody answers that question, I'm going around a second time, and I'm going to ask you, now that you're here, what do you want your legacy to be? Because we will all have a legacy. And when you get to my age, you start thinking about it. How will I be remembered? Because I'm not going to live, not a whole lot longer, but a little bit, I hope. And I will have two personal legacies. I mean, a personal legacy and a business, professional legacy. And so as you get older in life, you start thinking about, how will people remember me? And so I'm going to ask you that question, and then we're going to take off and do this meeting. So first question I want is maybe how long you've been on the council, maybe what's your day job or what was your day job, and then what motivated you to run. So I'm going to start with Barry, and we'll just go around the table.
I think I've been on 11 or 14 years off and on.
Okay.
And the original reason I got on was because they were going to move trash cans from the alleys to the streets. And I thought they ought to stay in the alley where they wouldn't blow around.
Yeah.
I got my career started late in life. When I was 30, I went to Sheldon for power line school.
Oh.
And then I ended my career here as an electric crew leader for Mid-American Energy.
Oh, okay. My son-in-law works for the REC over there. So, yeah, and he is a crew leader as well. Oh, good. Okay. Jim?
Well, I have to look on the bottom of my plaque. But I was first on council 1992 to 1999.
Okay,
And then I went to work for the city. I was the rec director and pool manager.
okay.
And then I was back on council 2010 to 2015. Then I was off for a while, and then, is this my second full term? Again, so, I mean, I sort of lost track,
Yeah.
so, but been on a long time. I think one of the, and I'm retired now.
Okay.
I still manage like the Winter Theater. That's one of my big passions is.
Oh, good for you.
That started. But I think my folks were always really involved with things, and I think I was just brought up, like service.
Mhm.
And that's, I think, one of the reasons I just got involved with the city is just what can I do to help contribute and make Hampton a better place to live.
Okay, good. Steve?
Well, I was born and raised here in Hampton. Lived here till about 1991, and then followed a job out of state through Oklahoma and North Carolina and Arizona and Colorado and back to Hampton. But when I came back to Hampton after 26 years, I'd sit around and look around the house, the town. And I said, this isn't the same town that I grew up in. And there's some things that need to be happening. So I thought, well, why not get on the city council and see if we can make a difference, help out. So I did that. Eventually ended up into being appointed mayor. I've just won my second election into that seat, and it's the same thing. We just want to make a difference and do what we can before we're gone.
Yep, that's good. Okay. Jean?
I am originally from Cedar Rapids,
Oh, okay, yep,
with my parents living in
I'm over
Dubuque.
there a lot.
We drove up
My
151
yep. Mhm.
every weekend.
You know
almost.
exactly where I'm at then?
Yep. And I know where Cascade is.
Yes? Okay.
So I've only been in Hampton, it'll be 4 years next month, and only on the council for the last 2.5 months.
Mhm.
So I was looking for a way to contribute to the community and something that would fit my passions and interests and abilities, and started coming to the council meetings. And after almost a year of attending the meetings, I decided this might be a good fit, and so I decided to run.
Oh, good. Okay. Kristen?
I grew up here. like
Okay.
Steve. I moved away for a little bit, 2010, moved back in 2017. I'm a dispatcher for the sheriff's office here.
Mhm. Well, you hear a lot then, don't you?
Yes, I
Wow.
And I guess I moved back with my kids, so I guess some of my reasoning for joining the council was to make sure Hampton was a really nice place. It still is, but I enjoyed growing up here, and I was hoping to provide the same for my kids, I guess.
good.
So,
Okay. It's a stressful job you've got, too. It can be, boring as heck 1 minute, and then all hell breaks loose the next, doesn't
yes.
it? Yes. Okay. Jerry?
I'm Jerry Griefey. Moved here in 1990. I actually was born in Cedar Rapids,
Oh.
but then did most of my growing up in Ankeny.
Mhm.
Most of it. I'm still growing. I have the shop over here on the corner, First and Second Vintage. I'm a retired nurse. I was not involved in the community until I was able to retire because I worked in Des Moines. I
Oh. Mhm.
traveled back and forth. So when I did retire from nursing, I wanted to invest back in my community, and I started coming to council meetings because I was bitching about some of the nuisance properties, and things were happening and changing, and I found that real inspiring, so I decided to give it a shot.
Okay. Good.
And I don't know how long I've been on the council. No? Too long?
I don't know.
Time flies when you're having fun.
It is fun.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I said I was going to ask the second question, and that is, at some point, you will no longer be on the council. You will be gone. Someone else will take your place. And people will remember you, your role here as a council member, and it will remember what this council did. Actually, this was what this process was all about. You're basically going to create a little bit of your legacy here tonight, because you're going to lay out a format of projects that you would like to see accomplished. And so people then will remember you. The other thing is that part of your legacy is the outside world watching you, because people watch you at these meetings and how you interact, and you are basically, as a council, you're the image of the community to the rest of the world, okay? So if I am out there in Anamosa, Iowa, and I'm bored sometime and I want to tune in and see what you're doing, you are the face of the community that night. You are what I think I'm going to see in Hampton, Iowa. So you're the image. So you're already kind of creating that legacy already, okay? And so with each meeting and each project, you are creating that legacy that people will remember you for. So with that, I'm going to give you a chance to say, what do you want your legacy to be as a council member? How do you want to be remembered? So this time I'm going to reverse. I'm going to start with Jerry.
We're gonna do that.
You were ready, weren't you?
My legacy is I want to be remembered as the spark plug, the energetic person that's willing to jump in and help and get things done.
Okay, the Energizer Bunny. Yep.
Yep.
Jump right in.
Yep.
Good for you. Okay. Kristen.
I would say I would want my legacy to be helping the community, but helping the city employees
Okay.
to better the community, I guess.
Okay. Good. Okay. Jean.
Mine would be, I want to be known as a person who cares,
Mhm.
who listens to people and responds to the concerns.
Okay. All right. Now, this side of the table's already got some legacy going here. You guys have been here a while, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Steve?
Mine's fairly simple. I just want to be remembered as a guy that was fair.
Mm-hmm.
He's approachable, and he cares about the community. And that I did the best I could and tried to help Hampton along while I was here. And like I said, at some time, I'm going to hand it off. So hopefully
Yeah.
I'll get something done.
I always tell people, council members, your goal should be to hand off this community in better shape than what you found it, both infrastructure-wise, policy-wise, up right from top to bottom. Hand it off a little bit better to the next generation. Yeah, that's a good comment. Okay, Jim,
Oh, boy. I think just as,
you're going to have 3 legacies, by the way, 3 times you've been on.
yeah, I think just being involved in the community and maybe having been, or, like a go-to person on a lot of things. People come to me and ask a lot of questions and things like that. And I don't know, my kids and their friends, they would call me Father Hampton because I was so involved in things and this
Oh.
rather. But I say, even personally though, I think my biggest legacy would, my involvement like with the Windsor Theater,
Mhm.
more personal, but.
Okay, all right. Barry, what do you want your legacy to be?
It's like really putting us on the spot here. I guess I just want to be remembered as a hard worker. I feel like I've worked hard all my life. I was scout leader for a few years, and I've got 2 boys that are Eagle Scouts, and I've worked for about 10 years. I worked construction, so I did a lot of sewer, water, paving streets, infrastructure things, and that's kind of what I like to push around town.
Yeah.
Because that's the number one thing we need is we got to flush the toilet.
Okay, good. All right. All right, let's do this. You should have a blue sheet in front of you here, okay? The blue sheet is kind of my ground rules for the meeting. Okay. What I'm looking for, excuse me, is good overall participation, okay? I usually don't allow any one council member to dominate the whole meeting, okay? Occasionally I hear about councils, there's one person that just does all the talking, and I'll occasionally then reach out to those of you that maybe are more quiet, which is fine, and just to say, hey, what do you think about this? So I do keep it positive and constructive, okay? We're not going to vote tonight on anything. You're not going to be making motions. There's no seconds. So it's a more lighthearted meeting. And we won't get into any long debates either, okay? Because that's going to take up too much time. So if I sense that you're getting sidetracked and talking too much on one subject, I'm probably going to kind of rein you back in, because we got a lot of things to talk about tonight and a limited amount of time to do it. So hopefully I don't lose my voice, okay? We want to keep it respectful and patient. And it is a brainstorming session. If you've had a thought or two that you said, I wonder what the rest of the council would think about this, you know, since we're not going to make any decisions tonight, you can kind of throw it out there and say, I'd like to have this considered, okay? Doesn't mean that, you know, we're going to get into any debate of the pros and cons. We can't do that. But we can just throw it out there. And like, if you see something that we missed on these lists, we'll add it to the list and you can put a dot on it. If you think it's the dumbest idea you've ever heard, don't put a dot on it, okay? It's plain and simple, okay? If you think that's not a good idea, then I'm going to give you these dots and don't put one on it. So the other thing is what I call silence is affirmation, okay? If I sense you're kind of all agreeing on something, like you're going to see a number of these items where it says continue or maintain. Well, that tells me you're already doing that. And I'm going to question, why do we need to vote on it then? You're already agreed to it. So I'm going to add it to my list of givens that you're already committed to it. Now, if you don't agree with that and you're quiet, I'm going to assume I've nailed it and I'm going to go on the next subject. So silence means you're okay with it. And this is a smaller room and group. I don't have to worry about this sidebar conversations, but sometimes I get a big group out there and I got the sidebar conversations. I can't have that, okay? But we do keep it light. If you need to take a break, feel free to do so. You will have a chance to take a break when we're putting the dots up, because once you've got your dots up on your favorite projects, take a break, restroom break, whatever, so you can do that at that time. So I will take all of the information that I hear tonight, all the voting with the dots that you do tonight, and put it into a report for you. I will send it off to Ron and say, Ron, did I miss anything? Is there anything in here that I overlooked that needs to be in there? He'll take a look at it. I'll make any final corrections to that, to what he's got, and then it'll come back to you as a draft, okay? And at that time, you can tweak it, change it any way you want if I miss something. And then I would urge you to approve it by resolution, okay? And add some formality to it. Because what it is, it's a statement to the outside world, to your employees and to the public and to each other, that this is what we hope to work on. These are the things that we hope to accomplish here our next, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And so that's why we're doing this tonight. Which, by the way, that pretty much covers what I got in the blue. Any questions on my ground rules? Okay. The other thing I want to point to you is the yellow sheet, and there's a extra one back there if you'd like to see it. And that is, this is why you do this, okay? This is your blueprint going forward. I'm not going to read this to you. You can take this home and kind of review it, because someone may be watching tonight and say, why did you waste your time doing that, okay? And you say, no, I don't think it was a waste of time. Here's why we do this. We don't do it at every meeting. We do it at, what do you do, every 2 years or every 4 years, or what have you been?
Well, yeah, last time was in 22, so.
22, so you're doing it every 4 years. Some cities do it every 2. I've actually had a few cities that do it every year. But as a bare minimum, they do it every 4 years, because this council will be in place, this group, at least 2 years, maybe even 4, if you all run for election and get reelected, it might be a full 4 years that you're all together, so. But it's a great assistance to your department heads, your management team, and your employees, because you're now sending them a message. If you're debating on how to spend your time, or Ron, how to spend your time, go back to this list of things we told you to work on, okay? And so one of the things I've talked to Ron about that I'll talk to you about is the importance of it, maybe every 3 months, where you take a look at your goals that you set and ask yourself, how are we doing? Do an update. Because if you take my report and what we do here tonight and never look at it again, you've wasted your time and you wasted the city's money. The only way not to waste your time and your city's money is every so often, put it on the council agenda and say, hey folks, here's a report card on how we're doing. Here's what we got done. And if we're getting bogged down in an area, here's what's holding this one back. So at least you're made aware that if progress isn't going as fast as you think, what the reasons are behind it. So it's a way to kind of keep everybody on task. The other thing I tell people is, and there was a term I saw in the responses, too many cities grease the wheel that squeaks the loudest. I see this all the time. Someone comes in, says, we got to do this. Well, yes, we got to do that. Okay. Well, folks, you set your goals and objectives. Now, a new idea comes in and you want to just drop everything and do that. You got to tell Ron then which one of your goals you want to get off the table and take away. Okay? So then he now has the money or the time to work on this new idea that came forth. So a better way to approach those things, unless it's an emergency. You know, it's an emergency, that's one thing. But if it's not an emergency, the best response is, that's a great idea. And the next time we do goal setting, we're going to make sure that's on the list for our consideration to rank with all the other things we're talking about doing. Okay? So that you have a way then to say, we're not going to forget about it. And I'll tell Ron, keep a file of ideas that come in so that when you repeat this, you throw those new ideas on the list. Once again, consider them and vote on them. So those are the key things I'll talk about. But this yellow sheet, I think, on the back of it, is something that was in a publication that goes out to city managers. And it talks a little bit about the importance of being as specific as you can on some goals. You know, like one of your goals I noticed is to, take care of streets. Well, yeah, most cities would say, yeah, we got to take care of our streets. I might push you to be a little more specific. Is there a particular street or two that isn't in the capital improvements plan that needs to go in the capital improvements plan? Which, by the way, Ron tells me you've got a capital improvements plan. That is great, because not every city takes the time to do that. That's a crucial thing that every city needs to do, is lay out all your capital projects. So, and the reason I have it on your list of things to talk about tonight is maybe there's new projects that you want to add to your CIP if you can afford it, or maybe there's something that needs to be moved up or moved down in your CIP, and that will help Ron as he works on the next update of your CIP to do that sort of thing. So, but anyway, I'm not going to read this to you. You can take this home, read it later, and then just make it available to anybody that asks about it. Okay, let's run through the agenda and what we're going to do in the order and we're going to do it. You filled out responses to 5 questions that I had for you, which, by the way, thank you. You are one of the few councils where I got 100% response. That doesn't happen very often. So thank you for that, because it makes these sessions go so much faster. It also indicates to me you are committed to this job, because that took a little time on your part to sit down and give that some thought and to put your answers down. So thank you for doing that. Saves us so much time tonight. And the first question I ask you is, what are the major accomplishments? Now, I'm not going to read those to you. You've read them. Some of them are yours. I will ask you a couple of different things. So I'll ask you, did we forget anything? I might ask you, is there anything on the list, particularly, those of you who are kind of new to this job? What is that? You might need an explanation of why that's even on the list, which is great. We'll do that. And then I'm going to do the same thing with Exhibit B. I won't read those to you. I'll just say to them, is there anything on the list that you'd like an explanation? Why is this a problem? Why is this a concern to us? Why did that show up on the list? Now, you're going to recognize your comments. Most of the time, the ones towards the top of the categories were your comments, okay? And I put the comments down with yours at the top of I broke it into categories. Yours are near the top. The management teams and the city staff are kind of after your comments, okay? So you kind of know. If somebody says to me, where did that one come from? I can at least tell you it came from council or it came from staff, okay? Because I've got the ones from the council circled on my list. So, and then of course when we get to Exhibit E, then I did break it down, between those that came from council and those that came from staff. So, and then with the capital projects, we're going to go through the same thing. We're going to review them, and then I'm going to use the DOT process to help. You're going to help me rank them, and then we'll take just a few minutes after you do your dots to just kind of kind of show you where the dots fell. Now, obviously, this is what I'm going to use. This is in the exact same order that's on your exhibit C and D, okay? Exact same order. And I'm going to say to you, okay, if you think that's a high priority, you're going to put a dot in that box, okay? Okay? I'm going to give you probably 10 dots, might be what I give you. You're going to put your initials on them so you can remember where you put them. And because I had a gentleman do this one time, quite elderly, and he had 10 dots and he put 5 of them up and he was thinking where he was going to put his last 5, and he went back and he couldn't remember where he put his dots. And I thought, never again. From now on, everybody puts their initials on their dots, okay? That way you don't have to remember where you put them. So we may see things that will combine, like if you tell me number 6 is the same thing as number 10, I'm gonna take number 10 and peel it off and put it over here by 6, okay? So you're all gonna vote, yeah, all your votes for that idea is gonna go right there, all right? And then I'll go down through them one by one and that are high priority. I'm not gonna mention the ones that are not. Now, when I'm all done, any of you have an interest, you're welcome to take a picture of them, okay? A lot of council members do that. The other thing is, we are missing a council member tonight. And I want that council member to have an opportunity to be a part of this dot process. So I'm leaving these sheets here, okay? Once that council member comes in, it's Bill. Once Bill comes in and puts his dots up, then Ron is going to write that number down and send it to me, and then I'll use that then to put together a report. Now, what you're going to see in Exhibit C and D is I'm going to put them in the exact order that you ranked them. If something, I think the most number of dots something can get would be 7. The ones with 7 dots are at the top, and the ones that get no dots are at the bottom. So they'll be ranked from top to bottom. And then I'm going to recommend to you where I would draw the line in terms of, usually what I'm looking for is at least 4 and preferably 5, 6, 7 dots before something goes atop. In your case, since you have a 6-member council, I'm probably going to look for something that's got 6 or 7 dots, because I do let the mayor put the dots up too, because he is officially elected by the public. Obviously, he doesn't vote at council meetings, but he was officially elected by the public, and so I do let the mayor be a part of this process. So one of the few times, Mayor, you get to be part of it, okay? And so then you will get that, and then I will identify in your report what I think your top goals and priorities are. It's usually pretty straightforward, pretty simple. When you get the report, it's a draft, and so, for example, if something slotted in at number 7 on the list and I didn't have it in the top, you can modify it and move it up to the top if you think that's important when you get your draft of the report. So there's a little bit of flexibility. I always tell people too, this ranking system is not cast in stone. There are emergencies that happen. A town that experiences a lot of flooding one year when I did this, and all of a sudden, storm sewers and flood protection was a top priority. Well, it wasn't even on it when I did goal setting, so some goals got moved down and flood protection went to the top. Things happen. So, but it is your blueprint, barring any emergencies or unforeseen circumstances, of what you're going to work on going forward. So, and then Exhibit E, which is the teamwork and the how we work with each other, how we work with the staff, how we work with the public. I'll go down through those items as well. You won't be voting on those, but what I'll ask you to do there is, if you see something on there that, that's not really what we're all about, that doesn't match what I want the public to think in terms of what we're trying to do in terms of our teamwork, I can take it off. You can tell me, hey, I don't think that one matches up. Now, that your staff come up with ideas too, but the most important thing is what you guys came up with too. What they did is they provided some background from their perspective. And as you look through that, you can see it's a slightly different perspective on a few things. So, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So that's the agenda. Any questions on the agenda? Everybody good with that? Okay, good. All right, let's see. Let's go to the first Exhibit A. Exhibit A is the list of your accomplishments. I'm going to give you a minute or two, so I can catch my breath here. Give you a minute or two to go down through those kind of quickly, refresh your memory what's there. And I'm going to ask you to identify any one that you want an explanation on, any questions. And then the other thing I want to know is, did we miss anything? Okay. Now, I did break them into categories, and so you can see that. And if you think there's a category that I got it in the wrong place, maybe just let Ron know, later, and I can move it to whatever category you think is appropriate. So, yeah, the headings don't mean all that much. I just kind of did it so we lumped them together. So I'm going to give you just a minute or two to get down through those very quickly, and then if nobody has any questions, I'm going right to Exhibit B. So focus on Exhibit A.
I have a question on
Sure, yeah.
the last one, actually.
Very last one?
64.
Sure. Okay, number 64?
Funeral home construction and mausoleum relocation. Did we relocated one of them?
Planning, we're in the process of relocating one of them.
Oh, okay.
Sarah Schnee. We have identified the plot she's gonna go to her daughter's grave site, and she'll be moved this summer.
Okay.
Yep.
But I guess my brain was thinking.
It hasn't been
funeral home
accomplished
and
yet.
Okay.
Just the-
Crematorium.
No,
Um,
and columbarium, maybe you're thinking of that, or?
No,
But anyway.
no,
Yeah.
my brain was
No,
thinking-
just planning is the key word there.
Yeah. Mhm. Okay. Anyone else have a question on any of the items here that you wasn't sure what that was all about? You folks are pretty well informed then.
Nope, I have a-
Nothing got flagged?
Question on number 8,
Number
sidewalk
8, yeah.
project along 65. What is that? Did we do that?
Yeah, we added
Down
sidewalk
to Dollar Fresh.
to Dollar Fresh South.
There
and
you go.
then
All right, thank you.
From Casey's North.
Yeah,
Yep.
yep, right.
Steve, did you have a question?
I had more of an observation. You
Yeah.
know, Somebody on here put on here, the success that accomplishing the 2022 goals,
What number?
and it was 43. And that entered me when I was putting this all stuff together.
Mhm.
We did a pretty good job on our goals.
Yeah.
So when we do
Good.
these, we do them for a reason.
Yeah. Mhm.
And we use them, and the progress that we've made shows. That's
Oh, good.
just a comment.
By the way, this is a pretty impressive list, okay? Now, what I've seen done in some other cities, namely Tipton, Iowa, took a list like this and made themselves a nice little brochure. And when they picked out, the kind of top items, made themselves a little brochure and made it available to public for reading, just to show them how their tax dollars were spent and what was accomplished. And people are pleasantly surprised when they see the list of things that have been done over the years. Because, we do these things one at a time, and, you discuss a few items at each meeting, but you never stop back and reflect on the sum total that you get done. And when you do that, it's a pretty impressive list that you have. Okay, any other questions on Exhibit A before I go to B?
I don't have a question, I have a
Sure.
comment. Jim, that would be a good newspaper article.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Okay. All right, let's go to Exhibit B. Okay, now now I'm switching gears a little bit, okay? Yeah, this is a list of things where, you know, there are concerns or issues that maybe you're dealing with. Now, some of these things you have little or no control over, like the state legislature, what they do with property taxes. You can call your state legislator and tell them what you think, but that's about as far as it's gonna go, because, you know, it's pretty much an assured something's gonna happen. We don't know quite yet what's gonna happen, and it will have quite an impact on this list and what you do going forward, so. Once again, I'm gonna just give you a few minutes to run down through the list, see if there's anything on there that you have a question about as to why it was on there. I do have a couple I'm gonna raise. I'm gonna talk to you about number 14 quickly. But you can kind of go down through them and see if there's any items on there that you have a question on. And then if there's something that might have been missed as well, so. But I'll wait for you to go through it. I'll get you get your questions answered, and then I'll make a couple observations on some things that I saw. Okay.
What's the Armory Lane opportunity?
Is that, gonna ask that too?
Armory Lane is a
Yeah, I know.
condominium
Yeah.
and is just sat idle since 2008 when it hit a recession. It's been for sale for years. It's shovel-ready to be built on. So for someone to carry on and start construction. It's got water, street, sewer, storm sewer. Yeah.
Just west of the Ball Diamond at the high school.
Are we gonna talk about each one? or-
No, we're just, if there's one you want to single out and talk about, now's the time to do it. I'm not going through this list one by one.
Number one,
Number one, yeah,
when my kids were little, we utilized the park at Southside School. And then Park School had a playground too. Well, now that the county owns that and they built a Dollar General there, there's no park on the southwest part of town. So I don't know why we can't keep utilizing the Southside School, you know, and it's hard to get across Highway 3 unless you use that school crossing there on 4th Avenue. That's all I gotta say about that.
okay, all right.
And fluoride, aren't we talking about getting rid of fluoride?
That's listed as an issue
It's an issue, yeah.
and a concern.
It's
Fluoride
a
in the
concern.
water.
It's-
talked about it.
Yeah, it could come up later where you'd make it a goal, take fluoride out of the water.
I think it's,
How long
And I
ago
think it
did we
gets
go
talked
through
about
all
again
that,
later,
too?
doesn't
I was
it?
on council then, that we had that reared its head
Yeah.
20 years ago.
Yeah, but then Jerry, you brought it up just
Yeah.
a year ago or so.
Yeah,
Pretty
Yeah,
close.
I mean, it's,
So it's something that's.
we're recycling that
Yep.
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when we did bring it up, I even was interviewed on the radio about it, and I never got any feedback from it, so my impression was, nobody cares one way or the
One way or
other.
the other.
Dentists care.
Yeah, the dentist, yeah.
Dentists really
Well,
care.
I know they do.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I will guarantee you, if you put it on the agenda to vote that out, they will be here.
Oh, I know.
I had number 9.
Now, there are things you can do to take it out of the water I have reverse osmosis.
Yep.
I'm assuming that takes fluoride out.
Yep.
Yeah. If you feel that strongly about it, there are things you can do. But most people in the dental field will say, don't do that. So. Other questions? Yes,
Number 9,
Kristen?
the police resources being tied up doing nuisance abatement. I feel like sometimes them doing that, or like if they have to go to court for anything nuisance related, it takes away from stuff that they do in the city. Like if we have a call for them, then it either takes longer or they can't get to it right away because they're doing nuisance things.
Yeah, okay. In other words, what your observation is, yeah, do it when you can, but it should not be a high priority for the police if they got other things pending.
How about number 11, sorry, but recognizing the need for due process, is that implying or saying that we don't? As in, like, the police don't?
I don't know what that means either.
Yeah,
I was
I'm
gonna-
not really sure what's that supposed to mean.
well, in the past, we've had comments of frustrations that things aren't getting done fast enough with nuisance, and
Right,
we
okay,
gotta
so it's more
remind
the-
the
okay.
elected officials that the people are entitled to due process, and it takes time.
So like educating the public that
How about
Yeah.
there's a process involved.
educating
and-
the
Tell us
justice
about that
system?
due process. You were just, you're just there today.
Okay, yeah.
That's why he's all dressed
I
up.
just wasn't sure where that, more, in, yeah, I can see where you said with the nuisance issues, yeah.
Yeah, there's very strict state law in this. You know, there's a lot of things that you do is subject to state law. You know, it is what it is. You may not like it, but it's there and you gotta do it or you'll be found in violation of state law.
And that brings us to number 15, licensing dogs does not impact whether they will bite. And, yeah, that's a given, I
Yeah.
understand that. But it is a state law that dogs are registered. So it is something we have to do. It's also a step that, okay, we're encouraging that these dogs are vaccinated as well.
Yes, that's the other part of the process. Because if I get bit, I sure hope that dog is vaccinated. It's one thing to get bit, but then get bit by a dog that's not vaccinated. Yeah. So, okay, any
I don't know
other?
if anybody has something to clarify on that. I
Yeah.
didn't quite understand what. that
I think
point
the
was.
statement speaks for itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Other questions? As I went through your list, one of the things that jumped out at me was number 14. Are some of you kind of concerned about your security and your safety at these meetings?
We have,
Are you-
we have the chief of
Chief,
police
are you
here.
here?
The chief of police.
Chief, are you-
here.
Chief, have you ever heard the Mount Pleasant story?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm old enough to remember the Mount Pleasant
Of the
situation.
shooting?
Shooting.
Yeah, yeah.
Someone was very disgruntled with backup in their sewer, came to a council meeting, loaded gun, started shooting council members, shot the mayor. So mad at the mayor, he went behind the table and shot the mayor in the head and killed him.
Oh, for God's sake.
And he died. The other two council members survived. Police chief was in the audience, didn't have his gun. Ran out to the car to get his gun. Came back, by then, the shooting was over. So, I'm glad to hear you're here. I'm glad to hear you have your firearm. So, if somebody comes in,
Usually I'm in the back of the room.
yeah, that's a good place. Glad to hear that. So, you do have armed security here, and so that's a plus. I don't know what else you could do other than metal detectors, which I don't know of any smaller city out there doing that, but I understand where you're coming from in this day and age. Yeah.
How long ago was Heidi? You know, and there were some threats made,
Yeah.
and that he was gonna, yeah, and I think that, I did not put that down,
It
but,
wouldn't hurt to have an active shooter program for you guys where we could all just train as one group, just in case we had something like that happen. I think we could implement maybe a quick, have Halsey or one of the guys do just a quick, this is what's gonna happen if we have an active shooter here.
Yeah,
And I think that would probably be good, given the climate of everything today. I
Yeah.
don't think it would be a bad idea.
yeah.
We got, two exits, entrances, that's all locked up, I get it, but I think everybody needs to know what they should probably do in that case.
Okay.
Run the hide fight.
Tom Vilsack was on that council.
Tom Vilsack was not on the council, but he took the mayor's place. I actually knew the guy. His name was Ed King. I served with him on the planning, not the planning and zone, but regional planning commission. He used to sit right next to me when we had our meetings. I knew him quite well. Wonderful guy. If there was ever a person that never deserved what he got, it was Ed King. And he died that night, and just a wonderful individual. And Tom Vilsack stepped up to the plate and said, "I will be your mayor." And as they say, the rest is history. Okay. But yeah, you're right. You got a good memory. Yeah, good memory. Okay, any other questions? Okay. As I look through it, there's a couple of them that jumped out at me. I don't see these all the time. Once in a while I do, as 16 and 23, about a concern at what takes place occasionally at council meetings about comments about individual staff members or employees. And that usually kind of gets my attention, and I'll talk a little bit about it under Exhibit E. But I always tell people, okay, let's assume, for example, you get a new job, and your employer, during the interview process says, "Oh, by the way, your performance evaluation will be on Facebook." And by the way, your performance evaluation will be discussed for all the world to know if they want to pay attention. Okay, would you take that job? So, if that happens at council meetings, what it does is it actually ruins the morale of your employees who are like, I'm afraid to make a move, because I don't want to be the subject of the discussion at a public meeting. The second thing it does that's even more important is it sends a message to potential employees. Do I want to work there or not? So we'll talk a little bit more about this Exhibit E, but when I see that, it jumps out at me like, OMG, because if that's a pattern you see, for example, someday Ron is going to retire, okay? When he does retire, you got to recruit a new city administrator, okay? What do you think those new city administrators are going to do before they even come to an interview? They're going to watch these council meetings that are taped. They're going to watch them and say, oh yeah, that's a great committee, I'll apply for that job. Or are they going to say, holy crap, no way I'm going there, okay? So always keep in mind when you're at these meetings, this is the image to the outside world that you're portraying to the public. What do you want that image to be? Because it will impact your ability to attract and retain employees. I can guarantee you. So, okay, and we'll discuss this in more detail when we get into Exhibit E. But any questions on Exhibit B? Okay. let's-
Yeah, 20.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Jamie.
Yeah.
Number 27, establish water bill payments electronically.
Mm-hmm.
So not all people are on computers.
Mm-hmm.
So is that,
Ron, what are your thoughts?
This did not come from me. I don't, we have the ability currently to pay water bills electronically. This is,
This would be even pay plan.
yeah, like similar to an even budget pay.
Yeah,
And then
even
with
budget.
with 1 month settle up annually, so.
I take it that's something you don't have now? Like,
No.
if I come in and said, I want my
No.
the ability,
We've invested tens of thousands of dollars in radio read meters
Oh,
that we have the ability to drive up and down the street and get the exact usage and then bill based on exact usage to go and then estimate what was the intent of investing in the meters.
Yeah.
If you do that.
okay. Now, if you see something on this list and you think, okay, that's a great idea. For example, this would be an even payment plan for utility. That could show up on our next list
Yeah.
that you would vote on, if you think it's really important, okay? These are pointing out the fact that you don't have it. This is just an issue, okay? Whether or not it becomes something that you work on needs to be on the next list, okay? All right, any other questions on B before I move into the main part of the meeting?
Number 46. it's
46.
only 2 words, immigration reform.
Yeah, I wasn't sure,
That's-
I wasn't sure why that was on there either, yeah.
There's
I don't know.
nothing we can do
I thought that
about
was,
immigration.
I've never seen that on a list before. I don't know. Now, that did not come from you, that came from staff, okay. At least I don't think, because one council member checked management team, so I have a few of the items like that, that came from council, but actually it was attributed to the management staff, yeah. So, I don't know why that's on there. So. Barry, do you have a question?
Well, I have just some comments. On
Yeah.
Number 20,
Mm-hmm.
with, photos of the city employees, one time I suggested having a brochure of the city
Yeah.
employees, because I don't know any of them,
Oh,
other than
Yeah,
whoever's in this room.
Mm-hmm.
And, we've changed staff so much because the older guys left. I mean, I see them in trucks and they wave at me, I wave at them, I don't know who they are.
yeah.
But I think that,
That would be something, if you think it's important, when I get to the next list,
well,
say, add photo of employees to council chambers, and we'll put it on the list for
I'm
vote.
not sure
Yeah.
if, it would kind of be up to the employees too. And
I don't know the legal side of that, Ron. I've never been asked that.
Well,
I've never
I've-
seen that on a list before, so.
I've actually had employees say they don't want their photo on the website.
Yeah.
They don't want it
I noticed
anywhere
that you didn't,
because
yeah, have
when
that,
they go
yeah.
to the grocery store, they particularly
Yeah.
don't want to be recognized and
Yeah,
questioned or, criticize or whatever.
Right. Mhm. Yeah,
They haven't run for city council.
yeah.
One more.
Sure.
Number 26, I think that's a good idea,
Mhm.
but one of these other comments was why can't we get people to shop here? Well, we're located Ames, Waterloo, Mason City, and usually their gas prices are 40 cents cheaper than here. That's one of the reasons people leave town. They might not save it with all the driving, but
Yeah.
in their mind, they're saving it.
Yeah.
Well, and there's a big difference from.
Once again, this
Quick
could,
start.
this could be turned into an action item by saying, we will do this. Yeah.
Like one that's open 24 hours a day.
Oh, yeah?
That's a big deal for us because we need gas in there.
Yeah, you're plowing snow and you're getting low on gas. Yeah. That's a good point, too. Okay. Ready to move into the main event, Exhibit C? All right, let's go to Exhibit C. And I kind of prepped you a little bit on what we were going to do here at the end of the review. I'm going to go down through these one by one. If you need an explanation of what they are, stop me and we'll ask, Doug, Mark, Ron, whoever, and make sure that you know what you're going to be putting your dots on. Okay, number one, downtown snow removal improvement plan. Now, I reworded that a little bit to say, put together how it would work, okay? So that's what this would be all about. Okay? Once again, if you don't stop me, I'm going to go right next to the next one. Number two, city takes responsibility for the repair and placement of sidewalks.
Replacement.
What's that?
Replacement.
Replacement, okay, yeah, replacement. Which I would add the caveat, if you do that, and then how do you pay for it? Okay? If you're gonna do it, then you need to add how to pay for it. So, because it's gonna come out of your general fund, or your road use tax fund, so. Number three, installation of parks on the south side of town. That's kind of what Barry was talking about,
Well,
yeah.
it keeps reoccurring, but
Yeah.
it's like you just said with the sidewalks, how are you gonna pay for
How
it?
you gonna pay for it? Mhm. Number four, initiate a master plan for updating parks, recreation areas, equipment, improve recreational facilities, soccer, baseball, tennis, pickleball. Okay, number five, sidewalk and bike route programs of structured initiatives aimed at developing infrastructure policies and education campaigns to make walking and cycling safer, more convenient, and more accessible. Okay? Number six, initiate and implement a leaf pickup program. By the way, if that shows up, Manchester has done some work along that lines, so. Quite a while ago. Number seven, study feasibility of increasing hours at compost site and a recycling option. Okay, number eight, work with the county on a potential recycling program, year-round appliance drop-off, add bins and structures at new compost site. I almost combined 7 and 8, but I didn't simply because that first part, Dean, the longer hours at the compost seemed like it might have been a separate item, but, so that's kind of why I left them separate, but you can combine the two if you want. They are on the subject, same subject, so. All right, unless you tell me different, I'm going to leave them separate. Number 9, storm sewer televising initiative, which most of the time when you're televising, it's sanitary sewers, not storm sewers, and I'm sure you all know the difference between the two, but is it, I want to just clarify, we are talking the storm sewer system that would televise here, right? Not the sanitary sewer.
Right, we got a good handle on the sanitary.
Oh, good.
The storm, we don't have.
Don't have a good handle on it. Okay, all right.
What do you mean by televising?
You want to explain that?
So basically, it's the same thing we do where we take a camera or a machine with a camera and run it through the pipe to identify any separation of the pipe, any collapsing of the pipe, or location of the pipe, where does it go? I mean, there's a lot that identifies, that'll give us some priorities on, okay, well, we should probably fix this. We have a number of them that, a number of our outlets along the creeks are starting to struggle. They've been eroding over time. Only 30% of Hampton has storm sewer. As we come out of this drought, it was projected a long time ago that we're gonna go into some really wet years again, like 2008, 2010, 2012. Just, we need to know where we need to maybe make some of those repairs and put that in some of our CIPs, so it's televised, we know where it's, what condition it's in. Helps us look at the guts of it.
Which then dovetails right in the next one. Create a stormwater utility, which would be just like a water and sewer utility, but strictly for fixing those pipes and intakes. And if you do that, one of the better ordinances I've seen is West Branch, Iowa. In fact, I think if you Google West Branch, you might even see that ordinance in their books, one of the best ones I've seen. Also, the Iowa Association of Municipal Utilities can provide some insight in that sort of thing too. And I'm gonna imagine you're a member of the IAMU.
That would just be another tax, wouldn't it?
It would go on, yes, everybody's gonna pay it, and it goes towards paying, paying for the storm sewer repairs and upkeep, so. And if you're living high up on a hill, it doesn't do you a bit of good personally, but if you live in a lower part of town, it's like, yes, please. So it depends on where you live as to whether or not that's a great idea, okay? If you've ever been flooded, if your basement's ever been flooded, it's a great idea, because it helps solve those drainage problems at a faster pace than if you have to wait for a bond issue or road use tax money. It gets them done quicker. Now, I will tell you, it's not gonna generate a huge sum of money. And usually when it's implemented, it's not an outrageous fee. We're not talking $50 a household. We're talking, what, maybe,
Couple bucks a month.
yeah. But it starts building up a fund to take care of those cracks and repairs, yeah, so. Okay, number 11, study the pros and cons of eliminating fluoride in the drinking water. Okay, there it is, okay, talked about it earlier, okay. It elicits strong feelings both ways. Number 12, provide open house opportunity or tour to view city facilities, water plant, wastewater plant. Later, I'm going to give you a little handout that says what other cities have done to let people know what you're doing. That's actually one of the ones I had on my list, so.
I just, right now with the climate and everything, with terrorism and everything else, one of the things that DNR and us talk about is keeping our facilities secure from the public.
Yeah.
Council to see it, that's one thing.
That's one thing, yeah.
But to have the public out there, please, absolutely not.
Yeah. I'll share with you one quick story. My public works director said to my police chief one day, he says, I'm in charge of your water system. He said, you make a mistake, maybe one person's dead. I make a mistake, everybody's dead. So it does put that in perspective, okay? Yes. And the police chief didn't even dispute it with him.
They'll be disputing with
Okay, number 13. Now, these are ones I told you earlier about, they might go on the list of givens, okay? And that's when I see the word continue and maintain. So there's about 6 of them in a row. Continue the National Night Out program. Are you all on board with keeping doing that? Okay, that'll be a given. Number 14, continue with community-based partnerships with police, Citizens Academy, or a similar program. Are you all okay, continue to do that? Okay, that's a given. Okay, number 15, continue to integrate technology into policing. Okay with that? All right. By the way, you will not be voting on these now, because you're saying to me, put it in a report, we're still committed to it. Okay. Number 16, to continue to enhance and offer police officer training. Okay, that'll be a given. Maintain updating policies. Okay, that's a given. Continue to build strong working relationship with the law enforcement, our law enforcement partners. Okay, good, we'll continue to do that. And number 19, continue to update vehicles and equipment on schedule or as needed, which you probably have that in your CIP, right, Ron? So that's a given. Okay, everybody agree with all those? Okay, they will not be voted on. They will show up in your report as continuing to work on these things. Okay. 20. Now this may be a new one. reduce posted speed limit along Highway 64 and 3 to conform with the recommended Department of Transportation guidelines to improve crossing safety. Now, I'm assuming you're gonna have to go to the DOT to get the okay to do that, so this would be to start that process, because that doesn't happen overnight, okay? There's a process, they will come in and do a traffic count and a speed, I think they set up something to do the speed of their vehicles.
I have the information on
There you go.
what the DOT has, and I will give you guys all copies so you can review that process.
What it involves, yeah.
What it has been and what it will be, and the fact that we haven't had any accidents or anything.
Yeah, yeah, that probably enters into the picture, yeah.
Seems like the traffic is going faster than what it actually is.
Yeah,
It does,
I don't know why.
for some.
yeah, that's because you and I are getting older.
I can't see either.
Yeah, that's true too, yeah, yeah.
The mobile, speed limit thing helps
Yeah.
with that.
And we've done speed studies on several locations, and every time it shows the truck is actually going slower than what you think.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes there is the
Yeah,
occasional flyer.
yeah, yeah.
By and large.
Now, one of the things I like when I see, when a community, I didn't see it when I came into town, I came in from the east, is some of the smaller towns especially put these things up telling you what my speed limit is. And boy, that's eye-opening to me once in a while, because I went, oh my
Yeah, you
goodness,
don't-
I didn't realize I was over by that much.
There is one out by
We
the
got
hospital.
four.
Is there one out by the
One
hospital?
coming each town.
Oh,
each-
is it? Okay, so they're out there already?
Yep.
Okay, so they have no excuse then?
Right.
Okay, all right, good point, thank you. Okay, 21, search for a way for the police, fire departments to store access codes offered by residents to permit access to homes for wellness checks without doors having to be broken down.
A lot of times when we have welfare checks called in, dispatch will ask.
Oh, yeah, you would know this,
They'll
wouldn't you? Yeah.
ask if there's a code or if there's a key.
Yes.
We do ask permission from, if the homeowner is called and fallen down and can't get up to open the door, we ask them permission if we can break the door.
Okay,
Otherwise, we do ask the caller sometimes, is it okay if we break the door?
yeah,
And if
So
they
it's
have
not-
medical alert, they
Yeah.
always give that information.
oh, good, okay,
Location key.
okay,
And we're able to store the access codes and stuff and where the keys are in our CAD system.
okay. So this might be something more, get the word out on how that all happens, and you're in a good position to know that, yeah. Okay. Number 22, stop licensing dogs. Waste of staff time does nothing to prevent dog attacks.
We've already discussed that. It's a state law. You might as well just erase that whole thing.
Well, obviously, don't put a dot on it. So, yeah, it might be against, you know, I wasn't sure when Jerry had mentioned that there's something in state law that says you have to license dog. I had always done it. I've never had to research the question whether or not it's required that you
I
do.
think it's a state law, you have to vaccinate your dog, right?
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
It's also written that you have to register them.
okay.
I don't know that, I've never seen that. It's,
But I've never looked for it either. I've never, yeah.
I
don't
don't
know.
know about that.
If you ever run across it, write down the code section, because that would be good for me to know too. I would like to
Okay.
know,
I
yeah.
did find it when I was researching that, and
Yeah.
it is a state law. When you bring an animal into the state,
Yeah.
it must be registered.
Okay,
And I think one of the thing that came up with this part is the cost. You know, do
Oh,
we need-
yeah.
Do we need to charge for it, or should this be free?
Mm-hmm.
Something that we offer free, but yet we still
Yeah.
like people to
okay. But once
register
again,
dogs.
if it's something that is a high priority, then that would be something you would put a dot on, okay?
Well, and this is something we already do. We
Yeah.
already license.
This would be to stop it,
dogs.
yeah, to look into ways of how you stop it,
Yeah.
okay? If you're fine with licensing it, don't put a dot on this, just ignore it, okay? So we'll see how it shakes out, you know, if it's something that we need to pursue, we can, but unless you put dots on it, you're gonna keep the licensing in place, okay? 23 kind of dovetails into that, but it's different, and that is you have an ordinance on vicious animals. And the question would be, do you make it tougher and stricter? Okay. Have you had a lot of incidences with dog bites out there? Have you had some,
I remember.
yeah.
Yeah, we've had some. I
I've
think,
been here anyway.
I,
and we just went through this exercise not too long ago,
Okay.
talking about if we needed to
Yeah.
you know, enhance our
Yeah.
precious dog.
Yeah.
And I think we made a couple small range changes,
Yeah.
but we kind of pretty much kept what we have.
I am a daily walker in my neighborhood. I walk 2.5 miles every morning. There's about 6 dogs along the way. When I first started doing this, half of them didn't like me. They would raise their hair at me. Now, they all love me because I bring doggy treats. And as I come closer, I drop one out. Now, instead of getting growling, I get the tail going like crazy and they can't wait to see me. So for those of you watching YouTube, take some doggy treats with you. They'll all love you, okay? Okay, number 24, decision on what to do about leaves and burning ban. So right now, you cannot burn leaves in town, right?
Well, we can for a 30-day period
30
in
days.
the
Oh.
fall, usually November.
Oh, that's
allowed to
reasonable.
burn.
Yeah, that's reasonable. Number 25, increased oversight of tree board planting plans. Plans need approval prior to planting, not after completion. Okay, by the way, if anybody have any questions of what this is, any of these items, flag me down. Number 26, mobile app for residents to submit ideas, suggestion box, and report nuisances.
And we talked about that at our last school planning thing and found out that it
Yeah.
wasn't it expensive or something? I can't remember
Yeah.
what the deal was. but-
Yep.
Okay,
And then we also have our software company, accounting software, has a module,
Yeah.
right? For this type of thing that we anticipate will probably be having to upgrade, and that will include that. I don't know how soon that is though, so we don't know. Yeah, we don't know,
Okay.
yeah.
all right. Okay, 27. Check into grant opportunities for city improvements. I'm assuming you're a member of a regional planning commission.
Mhm.
One of the things I recommend to cities do is following the completion of this report, get a copy to your regional planning commission and tell your folks at the regional planning, these are the things we're going to be working on over the next few years. If you spot a grant that might be appropriate for one of these ideas, please let us know. So get the word out. I always tell people, share it with your county folks too. Share it with your school board. Let them know what you're doing. Yeah. One of the things you'll see on my list of things you can do in the future is once a year, twice a year, schedule a joint meeting with your school board and your county board of supervisors and your economic development chamber group. Take turns telling each other what you're doing in your community. Go around the table. You could make a copy of your report, at least, or a summary of it, and hand it out to them. So you're communicating with each other, so everybody knows what you're doing and why you're doing it, and then you can hear the same from them. So, and then maybe they hear of a grant opportunity that might fit something city, even though they're with the county, doesn't fit them, but it might fit you folks. So, number 28, review city water and sewer rates. I see that on every list, and it's something you got to stay on top of because you have, as Barry told you, you got some important infrastructure you got to maintain for that, not only now, but for future generations. And if you let that water and sewer go downhill, boy, are you going to make things life difficult for the next generation.
What kind of a timetable do they have for that?
I recommend you do an annual review of your water and sewer rates. And
But we do.
do you? Yeah.
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 We work with PFM, Public Financial Management.
Oh, perfect.
So
Yeah.
they're monitoring our sewer rates
go.
because it works in correlation with the debt that we have.
Yes.
And so we have to have a certain amount of revenues to cover the debt, and they
Exactly.
monitor that annually.
Yeah.
And then we have an SRF loan that we're just now starting with the water side.
Yep.
And so they're monitoring that as well. So, our water has an annual accelerator in at 2 or
Oh, good.
3%.
Good, that helps.
Wastewater does not, so we've got to keep a closer eye on
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, what Ron's talking about is what's called a debt coverage ratio, okay? Meaning you got enough revenue to cover all your operational expenses and pay the debt and a little cushion above it. And if you don't, the people that you've issued, that bought your bonds, they get a little nervous because they want to make sure they get their money back, okay? So I'm glad you've got PFM doing that.
Yeah.
That's great. I wish more cities would be more conscientious about that, so.
Yeah.
They're good people, by the way. They'll do a good job for you.
Yeah.
Yes?
You know what? Sitting here and we're going through these things, I think that Ron and Doug and the police chief have done a phenomenal job.
They have, yeah.
I mean, we're going through this and we're, just like the last item, we're doing it.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because sometimes when I do this and I have a fairly young, new city administrator, it's like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. But you have a seasoned veteran who's been around for a long time, so he knows what you can do.
It's
So,
good that if we could get the word out and let people know,
Yeah,
we're not just meeting to look at each other.
yeah, yeah, good point. Okay. All right, let's see, I left off with number 29, the next page. Policy to include limitation of repercussion for refund in the case of clerical or computer error in collection of fees or payments to citizens. That one actually came from the council. A lot of times I see that, or of course, maybe it didn't, I don't know, but sometimes they put a limit on how far back they'll go.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we do not currently have a policy, and it's something we should consider.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Number 30, update utility of accounting software. Okay. Number 31, I had to chuckle when I saw it. Stop talking about chickens and dogs. Chickens and all other livestock don't belong in town, and once again, they're talking about the dogs that are licensed will still bite you, so, okay. It seems like every town has talked about the chickens at one point or another. There's all kinds of ordinances out there that will give you any different variety of ways to approach that thing if you want to do it,
I
so.
do think that statement's kind of moot, though. You have to.
Yeah, maybe, once again, that would be something you wouldn't put a dot on. Yeah, yep. Yep, it's kind of, you're past it, I guess, is what you'd say. I think this is more of a commentary than necessarily an action item. Okay. Okay, number 33, continue to work with Public Works staff to obtain necessary certifications, water and wastewater, so as to utilize our employees in several duties. Okay, yeah.
Can
Well-
we go back to 32?
Yeah, we can go back to 30, yeah, 30. Well, 32 is a separate, it should have been in bold, that's a category.
Oh, okay.
That's just a category. That's a-
Gotcha.
Typo on my part. And the same thing down there on economic development, I meant to have that in bold as well, so, yeah. Okay. And usually my wife helps me do this, and I highlight in yellow what goes into bold. I obviously missed that one. Okay. Okay. And so when it did, then it numbered it, okay. All right.
That's why I didn't
Yeah.
understand it.
Yep, exactly. And by the way, in the final report, I'll take care of something like that, okay. Number 33, I just want to comment on, not only your public works staff need that continuing education to certifications, your city hall staff too. Because critical you keep those folks up to date on what's going on. And there's various programs for your city hall staff through Iowa State Extension and Iowa Municipal Finance officers to get them the training that they need to continue to do their jobs. I know quite a bit about it because I'm one of the instructors on some of these programs. So they're as valuable to you, I think, as the water and wastewater, so. Okay, number 34, update the Public Works employees to a merit-based wage structure. Okay, number 35, update employee job descriptions, which, by the way, if that's a high priority, I have a handout that I did years ago and some examples of job descriptions. It's kind of a how-to manual on how to write a job description, so if that's a high priority, I can share that with Ron. If he, sends me an email, I'll forward it on to him. Number 36, development of a city slogan, or focus on which to build future plans for marketing and business development, perhaps via a community contest, which I would add, that would be something you want to do in conjunction with your Chamber of Commerce, your Economic Development Group as well. Be nice to make it all uniform, so, okay. We are looking at number 37. Provide sufficient housing and community infrastructure Consider little housing, tiny home development, providing affordable, sustainable, and communal living options. Once again, I would look upon this as a study or a review or assessment, because if you're going to actually start building houses, that goes on the next list, okay? By the way, if this is a high priority, check with the city of Macokota. They have done something similar to this, and it was overseen by the Regional Planning Commission in their area, which is based out of Dubuque, one of the best regional planning commissions I've ever worked with. It's called ECIA. And I think it might even be on their website, what they did in Macokota. So if you Google it and go to East Central Intergovernmental Association, you will see that. So, yes,
If we did something like that, I think our ordinances would have to be changed for,
probably, yeah, it would need some
Size-wise
amendments to your
things.
zoning ordinance. Good point. Yeah, if you get down this road, don't get too far down without looking at your zoning, get your planning and zoning involved. But, yeah, it's part of an effort to, try and get some more affordable housing in your community, because, let's face it, most families can't afford that 2,000 square foot house that's selling for $400,000, $500,000, $600,000.
we have trouble with getting someone to work with Habitat.
Yeah, okay, okay. Okay, any questions on that one? Number 38, promotion of volunteerism and charitable giving. Do you have a community foundation in your town?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so there's a focus for your charitable giving. Yeah, we have one in Anamosa. By the way, those of you who are listening who are over the age of 73, the best way to contribute it to is through your required minimum distributions. They're called QCDs, Qualified Charitable Distributions, and that way you get the benefit of a tax advantage of doing that. So, but that's I participate in that, and our community foundation, I give to them that way. Volunteerism is another. A lot of towns struggle with that one because there's so much things vying for our time. The kids are in so many more sports than when I was a kid, and there's so much more to see on TV. I grew up, I had 3 networks, ABC, CBS, NBC, that was it. So it's a whole new world. But yeah, the volunteerism is important for a community to live and thrive. Jerry talked a little bit about that, the importance of it, so yeah, I get it. By the way, going back to 33, that starts out with continue. Is that a given, by the way? Are you folks on board with continuing to do that? Do you need to vote on that? Is that a given?
I think it
Does
is.
everybody agree with that?
Doug?
Okay, you're not going to vote on that. You're going to keep doing it because you have to. You don't really have a choice in the matter. Okay, same thing here on the next one. Number 39, continuation. Anytime I see that word continuation, nuisance abatement, image of pride, community cleanup program with chamber, consider community community cleanup fix-up program providing grants, loans, volunteer assistance to help homeowners rehabilitate their properties. That's almost 2 things, isn't it? The first one is continuation of nuisance abatement. Is that a given? You're going to keep doing that? So that's a given. Now the question is this next item a community cleanup fix-up program? Is that something new? You're not doing anything like that now, are you? So that would be something new. Now, there are a few communities out there that have organized that sort of thing.
We do community cleanup.
Yeah, but I mean a kind of a community-wide where,
I put this down. I think we need a specific program, like if there's a individual resident, an older person that needs help fixing up their house, that
Right.
we have volunteers or however are there and can work with that person.
yeah, like if there's an elderly person that lives alone and they're not capable of going into their yard and gathering up all the stuff that should be set out to the curb, volunteers would come in and help that individual. I've seen that sort of thing in other communities. Not necessarily does the city spearhead it, but sometimes you probably could, yeah.
I think like working with a chamber or
Yeah.
service
Typically, it's done
organizations,
through other
but
orga-
someone
with
needs to
on
take the lead
cooperation.
on it.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm going to modify that. Basically, it's a given on the nuisance abatement. You're going to keep doing that. And then this would be a new goal then. Consider a community fix-up, cleanup fix-up program. That's kind of separate from nuisance abatement. Okay. Number 40 starts out, continue rehab of the pharmacy building to a point of featuring a flexible design for sale, allowing move-in, ready access with minimal customization. Are you folks committed to doing that? You're going to keep working on that? That was probably a previous goal or something?
Well,
Okay,
and I put that down because I think we have to decide how far do we want to go with it.
okay,
And then, of course, that means money.
yeah. So probably going, what's a way to phrase that? Would that be called like phase two? Phase one, you've acquired it, okay, you own it, right?
Yeah.
Phase two then would be getting it ready for sale?
Well, that's phase one, is structurally
Okay.
securing it, and getting it into the hands of the private sector. But I think what Jim's saying is, what's that gonna look like?
Okay.
Do we wanna do additional things before we put it up for sale?
Okay.
I don't mean to speak
Yeah,
for you,
well,
but.
just
Okay.
like, like a spec building out.
Yeah,
Like, how do we define that as the spec building, and how far do we go with that
okay,
to enable maybe a prospective buyer to finish it off?
okay. All right, I'm going to leave this one on you will vote on this one. Okay, good point. Number 41, create a housing development plan. And I almost combined that with another one. I can't remember what number it was. There's another one that talked about housing?
The tiny home one?
Which one?
The tiny home one?
Yeah, that might be, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was mine too.
Okay. Do you want to keep it separate, or do you want to tie it in with the other one?
I would think almost like the tiny house, again, maybe is more of a very specific as
Yeah.
opposed to in general.
Okay,
But, I mean, you could combine them.
yeah. I'll do it either way. Jim, since it came from you, it's your call. Do you want to combine it or keep it separate?
I'd say combine them, because
Okay.
that, to me, if it's a tiny house, it'd be like a subset of an overall housing development plan.
Yeah.
So I would put them together.
Refresh my memory, what number was that?
37, wasn't it?
Yeah, just-
37?
yeah.
Okay, so for voting purposes, 37 and 41 will be combined. Okay. And I will take number 41 and move it over to 37. Okay. All right. Any other questions? 42, new city ordinance. No building to be constructed that is taller than a courthouse. This would be a zoning ordinance modification. Provide greater opportunities to utilize water tower structure for electronic wave capture needs. Okay? Yes?
I just want to make a comment.
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident every zoning district, the maximum height in the first 10 feet
Okay.
already. And
Okay.
that's way above 35 feet over there, so I don't know that we
Okay.
necessarily just, but I can verify,
Okay.
but I'm pretty confident that max height's 35 feet.
Okay. All right. I'm going to leave this on.
Going on.
Okay. I'm going to leave this on here for you to vote on, so if it gets a lot of dots, then you're going to dig a little deeper into this, okay? All right, unless you tell me to take it off. so. Okay, number 43, once again, starts with the word continue. Continue citywide cleanup events. So that's telling me you're already doing one.
Isn't that
That
already a
was-
part of 39
Yeah.
Yeah,
that we separated, the first part?
yeah.
that's-
So,
Part of 39A.
yeah.
Yeah. that-
Okay, so I'm going to, once again, you won't vote on 43. That's kind of like a given, and it's going to be lumped together with 39. Gotcha. Okay. Barry?
I'd like to say something about 42.
42, yeah.
My opinion is, if you had an ordinance like that, you'd be shooting yourself in the foot. Because if somebody comes into town and wants to put up a 4-story building, you want that tax base, you want employees, you want more business, I see no need for that.
Okay. Once again, do not put a dot on that then. Because if you do not put a dot on it, that's where it will die. Okay? Yeah. good point, though. I see where you're coming
And
from.
you can't take anyone else's off.
Right. Okay.
Touch your own dots.
Okay, number 44, adopt a vacant building ordinance.
Didn't we just go over that?
Yeah, we've talked about that, yes. We don't have one in place. We talked about it, but we never approved one, no.
Never done.
Okay, interesting, okay. There's probably models out there for you to look at.
Oh, yeah,
I
yes.
think the Main Street program has some
Yeah,
examples
probably.
of that.
By the way, if you've never been to the Iowa League of Cities website, take your time to look at that website. There is a lot of information on there. Go under what is called the resource page, okay? Lots of publications, and there's one that's near and dear to my heart. Go under publications, police or fire protection services. George Oster and I teamed up years ago and wrote that, and then Mickey Shields updated it and put it on the website. So there's about 3 or 4 things over the years that I've written that's on there. So anytime you have any of these topics, the first place you want to go to, check the league website and see what's already been written out there. And then Ron has access to something called the Grapevine. That's like Facebook for city managers and city administrators. Ron can put out there, by the way, anybody have a vacant building ordinance? And he can get any number of them probably fairly quickly. Don't do it this week, because most of them are down in Iowa City at a training education. So, but anyway, there's a lot of resources out there that even you, all of you, can access on the league website. So, okay, that's the list that you presented to me. Did we miss anything that you now want to add to the list before you start voting? Okay. All right, not hearing any. At this point, I give the opportunity to council members first, and then once you kind of have the opportunity, then I'm going to go to your staff and give them the opportunity. Is there an item on here that you would briefly like to do a sales pitch on, where you say, hey, folks, make sure you put a dot on that one, this is why it's important? So is there any item on there that council, mayor, that you would like to do a sales pitch to your peers before you start selecting most likely to be your top 10? Okay.
I do.
Go right ahead. That's why I put this on there.
Mine would be number 3, the installation of parks on the south side of town. I know we've got the South Side Elementary
Yeah.
playground, but what kid wants to go play on the same playground that they play at every day at school?
Okay,
Also, having come from Colorado and Cedar Rapids, so bigger towns, and I've mentioned this in a meeting before, the first time a kid gets seriously injured on that playground, or there's a bunch of vandalism or damage done to the playground, the school district can shut that down and not allow, they'll throw up a fence and not allow anybody in there to
That's
play when
true.
it's outside of school hours.
that's their domain.
Plus, it's on the southeast side of town, so kids that live, say, over in the trailer park that really need a safe place to play have to go all the way to the opposite end of town to get to a safe place to play, either to way to the southeast side where the school is, or cross Highway 3 to get to one of the parks on the north side of town.
Okay.
If we're going to keep kids engaged, have nice neighborhoods where people want to live, where people are going to take care of their properties, all that kind of stuff that young families are going to be attracted to, which I think we need to have in order to keep Hampton a thriving town. We've got to have safe play spaces and not just on one side of town.
Okay. Good, thank you. Other people, any other topics that you want to put a sales pitch on? Okay. Ron? Doug, Mark? Any item you want to put a sales pitch on here quick?
I don't necessarily have any specific item. It kind of hits a few of the ones we're already continuing to do, but in the current state of the police department, we are down 2 officers, so recruiting and training is gonna be a huge thing for me, and staying competitive in wages and marketing, which I think we're working on, and then just staying with our training opportunities and stuff like that that keeps the police department together and the morale up and everything. So those are my concerns over the next year.
Yeah. Yeah. Just a quick comment on that. This is really important if you're living in Manchester, Iowa right now. Google Manchester and the lawsuit that was just brought before the courts. The court issued in favor of the plaintiff, and huge sum of money that is now the responsibility of the city of Manchester. So Google that. That will reinforce what he's talking about, why that is so important to have good officers and good training, because one not so good officer can get you into a lot of trouble. So, good point. Yes?
All I'm asking for is, we have a lot of, this was our first year plowing for some of our new staff members at Public Works, and it shows we got some dirt clods here and there and different things like that. Now, having said that, part of that was the guys, part of that was people not maintaining as good as they should next to the curb. However, I guess what I'm asking for is just patience, and then please have reasonable expectations about how quickly we're getting maybe some things done, or have some very reasonable expectations on some things. We're limited on staff. We don't have enough people to do everything all at once. They're doing a good job. I think we need to prioritize, and we need to try to do that to the best of our ability. I don't think anyone's sitting around doing nothing or things of that nature. Just please understand, I know there's citizens in our community who, well, it's city work, they're not doing a dang thing. That rubs them wrong. But honestly, they just need your support, and we're bringing them along good. So that's all. I'm just asking for reasonable expectations, that's all.
Okay. All right, other observations, comments that Sean? Jerry?
Just the very last one, number 44, adopt a vacant building ordinance. I truly think we need that, so we don't run into problems like Rick's Pharmacy again.
Okay.
I think that's really important, and
Yeah.
that would probably help with our nuisance, nuisance ordinances. And then,
Mhm.
let me get my thoughts together here. Decision on what to do about leaves and burn ban. I think we do need to make that decision before we initiate and implement a leaf pickup program. What are we
Okay.
gonna do about it?
Okay,
Okay.
right, good. Anyone else?
Yeah, I would just mention on like the 39, whatever the community fix-up program, I'm looking at that as a proactive way to try to,
Oh,
again, deal with the nuisances before they become nuisances.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. All right. Ron?
I would just kind of echo what Mark and Doug talked about. I think I always come back to that we need to not lose sight of the fundamentals of the services that we provide, public safety and public works and water and sewer and the infrastructure and the streets and the staff that we have to do the work that needs to be done. Support the staff, show that, during council meetings, your actions are seen to the world on YouTube, including our employees. And remember that anything that can be said can either erode current employee morale or have an impact on potential employees. And we've got a couple openings, so we just need to be
Oh, yeah.
cognizant of that.
Boy, if you got openings, that's even more critical.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if any of you have an issue with, what you see or with staff, the first person you need to go to is Ron. And then Ron can go to whatever department and then look into it and then can come back to you. And the way to do that is with a private conversation with Ron. not in an open meeting. So, like I said earlier, if you were working for someone, would you want your evaluation on Facebook? No, I don't think so. In fact, I wouldn't work for somebody that did that. I would say adios. And by the way, there are cities out there that really desperately need employees. And so I would venture to say, you know, Mark, Doug could go anywhere they want. As long as they're willing to move, there's people out there that would grab them. There's people that would grab Ron in a heartbeat, let me tell you that, because he's well-known and well-liked around the state, so he'd have no trouble finding a job. So that's what you're up against, is people can't find employees anymore. It's just so difficult. I hear it everywhere I go. It's hard to keep and retain and fire new employees, so. And especially finding ones that are willing to work. Some people are happy to be on payroll, but they might show up 3 days a week instead of 5. So it's a whole new world. When I was younger, you know, I had no trouble finding public works employees. I had no trouble finding police officers. We'd put out an ad for police officers, we'd get 40 applications, and some darn good ones. You're not seeing that anymore, are you? No, and you're not seeing that. It's a whole new world we're dealing with. So, all right, any other topics?
Real quick.
Yeah.
Kind of with the staff.
Yeah.
The stuff like that, personnel issues, I would topic that under there. Some of the comments that we make as a council or, you know, in a meeting, in an open meeting, they're far-reaching, you know. People watch our meetings, they hear this stuff. It's not just like us, we're talking about this with Mark and Doug or somebody else. So we got to think about that every time we make a statement in there. And then in my little brain, and it's small, I always look at that the council actually has 3 employees. We got Ron, we got Doug, and we got Mark. So any personnel issues, to me, goes under them. So
Yeah.
if we got something like that, you just said it,
Yeah.
go talk to
Start
Ron,
there,
talk
yeah.
to Doug, talk to Mark, and let's get it taken care of rather than
Yeah.
getting something started up, so.
This might be a good time, too, to interject something similar to that, and that is how you interact with each other. And usually I cover this in Exhibit E, but this might be a good time, and that is not only how you interact with each other at this meeting, but when you leave the meeting, okay? The scenario I will give you, you have a council meeting, it's a split vote, totally different way on how to approach it, and you are in the minority. You lost by 4-2 vote or whatever it is. Next day, you go to the grocery store. Someone at that grocery store says, I see the council did this last night. Well, that's the dumbest thing they ever did, right? And you're in the minority, you say, yeah, damn right, that was the dumbest thing they ever did. I can't believe those people. What's wrong with them? Okay, the image that you have now created by that statement for the whole group of which you're a part of is that city council doesn't know what the heck they're doing. So you've now created a negative image, not only for your other council members, but for yourself too, because you're a member of this city council. Because they don't a lot of times distinguish who voted for what, okay? They may remember for a while that you voted no, but that ain't gonna last. Okay, the council did this, and you're on the city council. So in a way, you just badmouthed yourself. Now, the other way to answer that question in the grocery store is this. Yes, we did have a vote on that last night. We had a good, thorough discussion. I had the opportunity to give my opinion as well as them. And in the United States and everywhere, majority rules. And we put it to a vote. Majority was 4-2. That's what we're going to do. Next time, I might be on the winning side. And when I'm on the winning side, I sure hope the rest of the council supports what we just did. And I support this council because we are a team. Now, what image does that give to the public when you say that in the grocery store when you meet these people? It's a different, you had a good, thorough discussion. It wasn't cut and dried. It was a 4-2 vote. Now you're behind that 4-2 vote, and we're going to make it work. Altogether different image, all from one conversation that you have in the grocery store talking about your fellow council members. So it's important to keep that in mind when you leave here. Keep it positive, be supportive of each other, because I tell people, you got to have each other's backs. You're all in this together. And if you don't have each other's backs, then the relationship starts to fall apart. then you literally hate coming to council meetings. And you dislike the other persons, no matter what they bring up, you're against it because you dislike them. This is what we're seeing at the federal government level right now. And we're watching this play out, and it's like, oh, man, who would ever want to be a part of that? You know? Same thing is going to happen here. If you don't, be mindful of that, nobody's going to want these jobs if that happens. So, but anyway, just a side comment. Any other items that we want to talk about before we start voting? I got to kind of get to this point. Okay, all good comments, thank you. Okay, you have about 32, 31 items. I'm going to give you 10 dots. The way it's going to work is you're going to get your 10 dots. You're going to put it up on the top 10 items of these 30 or so items. Okay, put your initials on those dots. You can't sell your dots to your neighbor, okay? You got 10 dots, you keep them to yourself. You can't be putting 2 dots on one item, 1 dot per item, okay? You may have a pet project and you want to put half your dots on there, you can't do that. 1 dot per item. And the way I police that is you got to put your initials on there. So if I see one thing with 2 of your dots on it, I'm going to peel one of them off, okay? Ron?
I have a question.
Sure.
So this round, they will simply be voting with their dots on Exhibit C list.
Exhibit C, nothing to do with
And
D.
you're gonna
That
give them
comes next.
10?
What?
You're gonna give them, so then when we get to D and they have dots, they're gonna get another 10?
Give or take how many's on the list. I usually shoot for
Okay.
about a third.
Okay, just,
Yeah,
thank you.
I usually shoot for about a third.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll have a council, like in Dyersville, they wanted less. I guess I could do that, but I would really recommend you kind of stay with that 10. Now, if you can't come up with 10 items, you don't have to put a dot on 10 items. If there's only 5 or 6 that are important to you, just put on 5 or 6 and give me back the other dots. Yeah, that's not a problem. But most
Don't put
councils.
more than 1 dot on one item.
No, no more than 1 dot. Don't go back and say, well, I got 2 left, I really like that, I'm gonna put a second one there. No, 1 dot per item.
Okay, just to clarify, so we
Yeah.
have 10 dots for all night, not 10 for each exhibit.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna get a whole new set of dots for the next run.
Oh, we are?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
whole new
'cause
set of
I-
dots for
From
the-
what you were saying, I almost thought that we only had the 10 and we had to go
No,
3
this
on
is,
this one. or-
all 10 of your dots are gonna go on these sheets. Next time around, next item, I'm gonna give you 10 more.
Okay.
Yep, or whatever number. I may cut it back depending, it all depends on how many end up on the total.
But we don't have to put them all out, though, either.
No.
No, you
Set
don't
the
have to
pages.
put them all out.
And then I was just gonna mention, maybe because Bill's not here, you may wanna read
Yeah.
what he wrote on Exhibit C.
Yeah.
Because he would have maybe wanted
Yeah,
to
good
speak
point.
to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we all had a chance.
Yeah. And once you get your dots up, you can take a short recess, use the restroom, get something to drink or whatever. Just don't go to the local bar and bring it back a beer, okay? Just keep focused on what we're doing. And we'll get to Exhibit D here next, and that's a little shorter list, so might go through that even faster than this one. Usually this one takes a little longer because it requires a little more discussion. Okay, I'm gonna give you your dots. You start circling the ones you want. I'll get the other sheets up here. So this is what they look like. And I got a couple little combining to do, and I'll get that done. So maybe, Ron, I'll let you pass out the dots.
Yep.
These are in packets. There's 5 to 1, so they each get 2 strips.
Okay.
Okay? And I got it.
And have them put their initials on.
Yep,
first thing.
that's the first thing you do, is put your initials on. Yep, first thing you do.
Don't you think 3 and 4?
What's that? Yeah, I'd say.
Initiate a master plan.
But then that's the parks we already have.
Updating parts. So that could mean that, well,
Hello?
update
Those are
parts.
squares.
I don't know,
doing
we're just
fine.
quibbling over words, but I think they could be together.
Yes. Yes, I did. I thought I had
Thank you, Ron.
done that and uploaded it. There's a letter.
These are not dots.
That's what I said.
Well, they're not
Yeah.
dots.
They're different, look inside, think outside the dot.
Think outside the dot.
We don't have to connect the dots.
We're good at that.
Let's see, we were combining 22 and 23, weren't we?
I believe so.
Hey, no problem. Glad you called to check. Okay, thank you. Right. Well, I already, he was doing my taxes and he called. He had a question.
Oh.
I said, I have uploaded that. Oh, I found it. So you can go.
I think so.
I circled mine as I went, so I know what. Sit too far. Okay, so you put our dots just underneath it, or? I'm not sure. Hey, Pat,
First column or second
do you want, like, do you put them here, do you put them underneath?
Yep, put them in the last column.
Oh, the last.
Like, if you
last
think this
column.
is a top priority, go right in that box right there.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
If you see an X in the box, that's a given. We're not, that's already agreed to, we're gonna continue doing that. So don't put in the X's, don't put a dot in any of these X's, okay?
Okay.
Yep, and you go in the last column. Oh, you're-
Ouch.
Let's see.
I'm done if I want up.
4, 5. We got 5 so far.
Yep.
Gotta wait for the, it's near the end.
Yep, 4137. Yep. That is helpful. Will that work? I got a piece of tape here too. There we go.
Yeah.
One that cares about bylaws.
And 23, I think, is a given too.
Yep, yep, I think so.
Take a quick look and see. I see something I missed up there.
Okay.
If anybody spots something that I missed, let me know. I tried to catch your
If
changes.
there's any that you said were given that aren't crossed off, let him know. I think they look.
I think I got, no, they didn't make a lot of changes.
How come we're putting them over in this column? Was that
Sometimes I have department heads do it, but we didn't, our management team, but
So if I want to be
basically,
a department head, I can put them
no.
over here?
No,
That'll work?
in your case, we're just ignoring it.
Gotta stay in our lane.
What'd we do with number 39,
Do you want my last 3?
Jim?
Well,
It's a
I don't know
given.
if we called-
One was a
No,
given and
it's
they
a-
broken out the one for the
Like,
fixing
I
up
think
thing.
this, it's up here, this.
Okay, so this is what we're voting on.
Daughter started track tonight. My legs hurt. Yeah.
put a sticker on my back if you just walk by. Yeah, I put it on your back.
Say, kick me or something?
I'll give you a second, we'll see what the gold star, if I like that, I'll add one to it. Let's see.
Okay, when you get your dots up, feel free to take a little break if you need one, and don't stray too far away.
Did we, are we not putting up 39B?
Let's see.
Oh, I missed the other page over here. Never mind.
Yep. I wanted to spread it out a little bit so you're not on top of each other.
Kelsey was in.
Has anybody have said I can't come up with 10 items and didn't use them all? That's usually the case.
Yeah, other than me, I haven't
Is
got.
that bad?
I'm close to 10 yet.
You got 3 left?
Yeah.
Okay.
Handful,
Okay,
get
that's
them
fine.
done.
No problem.
Get too many.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like they get done.
I think some of those we're already doing. I never put a mark on it.
Yeah.
Like the.
I tried to
like the-
identify the ones that
Like
you're
the
already-
water rate study, we're doing that.
Yeah. I've tried to identify those with what I call my givens, so if I miss them, then don't put a dot on it. I'll talk to Ron about that to see if there's an item that, you're already doing this. But that was the purpose of my list of givens. Identify those for me.
Do you want these back?
Nope, well, hang on from the next time, next go round, yeah.
I'm talking about
Yeah.
chicken and dogs. Can I put 6 on there?
I think you were gonna put this one with this one. 22 with the one.
Okay. Did I miss anything?
I'm thinking we were putting the stop licensing dogs.
Yeah.
With the dogs
Oh,
that
wait,
are
wait.
licensed still bite.
Okay, well, no, there's no dots on there, so it's, I can
Yeah,
certainly,
but-
is that what we agreed to move that over?
Might have a couple of them that mentioned it, but.
Yeah, this was kind of a commentary more than anything.
Yeah.
Right.
I really didn't look on that as a whole. Yeah, I would, if you feel strongly about this, it should go here, because keep in mind what it's saying. Stop it. If you don't put any dots on it, you're gonna keep doing it.
Yep.
Now, can we talk about this combined with this, or did according to my notes, I was supposed to combine the two.
Takes just a minute,
Yeah. Ron, where'd Ron go? Ron, refresh my memory, were we combining? Yeah, there's no dots on them, so, yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are separate. Okay. Okay. Nobody put a dot on either one yet, so.
Okay.
All right.
They know how to rules. Apparently we don't. Okay.
Whoops, excuse me.
Because I'm too good to get out of my own driveway.
I'm driving down that.
Right?
4-wheel drive.
Yeah. Oh,
No, mine.
yeah. hopefully. So I'm gonna probably be looking for items that got, 4 or more. So number 4, that master plan on the parks, working with the county on recycling, looks like it's got quite a few. The stormwater utilities, might get 4 if he puts one up. And over here, you've got number 39, about the community-wide fix-up, that's got solid support. Here, everybody got one on that one, the vacant building ordinance, so you've got those. Now, what we'll do then is, once he's got his dots up, you'll get a complete listing of how many dots were on every single item. And then I will pick the top ones, and that'll go into your report as your top priorities. Is that all right? There'll be about, typically I'll put in, 5 items that are your top priorities. Sometimes if there are others that are really close, I might show them as like a second tier, so we'll just see how the numbers shake out, so. But yeah, a lot of, you can see over here, quite a bit of support. Once again, Bill may put it up and put that one at 4. Okay. Any questions? Okay, let's go to Exhibit D. Everybody had a short little break there. Okay, we're all good? All right, Exhibit D are your capital projects. These are your, what I call the bricks and mortar things. These are things that are, if you do them, they're gonna cost you a lot of money, okay? Some of them anyway, not all of them, but some of them. And once again, I'm gonna be looking for things that are continuation of what you're doing and whether or not it should go on the list of givens. And I'll give you a chance at the end to add anything. Stop me if you've got any questions. You gotta make sure you know what you're putting your dots up to, okay? All right, first one we got is continue your street rehabilitation program. Since I see the word continue, is that a given? Are you all supportive of going forward with continuing street rehabilitation?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna say that's a given. You're gonna keep doing that program. Obviously, if you don't, you're gonna fall behind. Okay, so you won't vote on number 1. Number 2, storm drainage improvements. Talking along the lines of, doing the televising so you know where to do it. And then once you've got that, you can move into the next phase of identifying storm drainage. Typically, when they do this, they go for the low-hanging fruit right away, okay? Obviously, a big crack, hey, let's get that one done for it right away, okay? So they'll work their way down the list, is what they'll do once they have that information. So number 3 is the televising, which is kind of tied hand in hand with what number 1 is. I almost combined 2 and 3 because you can't do 2 without doing 3 first. So if you want, I can combine the 2.
I would
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
Doug?
I think
Yeah.
2 and 3 have to coincide with number 1 because we have several parts of town where the
Good
curb
point.
is shot.
Yes,
You
yeah.
can't get water to the storm sewer if the
Yeah.
curb is shot.
Boy, that's a good point. Yeah, because you don't want to be fixing your streets up and then a year later come back and tear it up to put in a new storm sewer.
Right.
Yeah, good point, yeah. So kind of keep that in mind when you vote. Yeah, that's, 2 and 3's got to get done first, okay. But Ron will address that in his capital improvements plan. That's the purpose of a capital improvements plan, is to identify what comes first, okay. 4, improve and establish controllable crosswalk signs at corner of Federal and Highway 3 to improve pedestrian safety crossing, also improve visibility of crosswalks along Highway 64 at trail crossing, but provided lighted crossing warning signs. Once again, would be done in conjunction with the DOT. Okay. Number 5, downtown alley paving projects. Okay.
I don't know if we necessarily have any. We've got 2 we're looking at right now, but that
Okay.
doesn't mean, the big picture.
Yeah. This would probably say, when you get those 2 done, then you look for 2 more type
We
thing.
got residential alleys too, so how?
It did distinguish downtown, didn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know who gave us that one, but,
I did.
yeah.
We have a significant, which also goes with some of the drainage, so if you go back here behind Willie's, check that run. There's quite a few of these that are
Yeah,
definitely.
okay.
Same way over here by, behind Russ Gibson's, or Christensen back there, there's some there that need to be done. One over here by the City Hall parking lot, that needs to be done.
Okay, so there's quite a few.
Yeah, there's quite a
Okay.
few.
Just don't mind this direction.
Yeah.
I was following him, and they were just.
Hey, you're good at that, yeah. Okay. All right. Moving right along. Number 6, public works vehicles, pickups, dump trucks, and heavy equipment. Probably, once again, it isn't addressed in your capital improvements plan, if you've got big ticket items, so. Number 7, once again, starts with the word continue. Continue budgeting for for and purchasing police vehicles so as to keep the fleet up to date. Is that in the budget you guys just did? Vehicles for the police updated? Yeah?
Yeah, continuing.
So is that a given? You're gonna try and do that every budget year?
Are we using local option sales tax for that?
Yeah, we don't purchase police vehicles every year. We
No,
do-
no.
We use
But
local
you're-
option
you got a
sales tax.
rotation.
Yeah, it's,
So are you all committed to continuing that rotation? Okay, so I don't think we'd vote on that, right? It's a given. You're gonna keep doing it. Okay. Number 8, purchase a leaf vacuum for the street department. Okay. Number 9, work towards budgeting for and purchasing a larger and new or good used street sweeper. Okay. Number 10, once again, I see that word maintain. Maintain police equipment on schedule, computers, cameras, software. Once again, if you have a rotation, are you committed to continuing that? Is everybody on board with having that in your budget? Obviously, you do it in phases, so I don't see a need then to vote on that one then. Okay, that's a given. Number 11, possible body-worn cameras in the future. I take it that we don't have them now. Okay. A lot of police departments are doing that. It's becoming quite a deal. Okay. Number 12, update the rifles. Been a while since we've done that, obviously. Okay. All right. Number 13, update the tasers. Been a while since we've done that too. Okay. Okay. Number 14, Batwing Mower. I'm assuming this is the Parks Department?
This would be street, but,
Oh, all right, streets and parks, okay.
Can you give me an explanation of what that is exactly and
so,
what we have in comparison?
so, well, the one that we have now is, I don't know if it's an eighties version or what have you. It fits on the back of the blue New Holland tractor. We mow the outskirts, when we mow the outskirts. That's what kind of what we trim the ditches back with, and then, like on Federal Street South, 10th Street, Northwest, those areas we use that back, we want to do that. They do have a finished mower version that if we do increase them, like we've talked about, increasing the size of each part, they do make those to where we can get the finish grade tight, and then that would help us cut a lighter swath, do a little quicker mowing in like East Park, Cemetery Flats, areas like that, to save a lot of time.
Okay. All right.
The one we got now is really ancient, and they're really together a lot.
All right, thank you. Number 15, black dirt storage hoop building. That was a new one on me. I hadn't seen that terminology. Okay. All right. By the way, I don't have to know what these things are. It's important for you to know what these things are, okay? Number 16, well, I know what a cold storage building is. I know what that is for equipment, okay? Okay, number 17, there's a big ticket item. Recreation complex, soccer, baseball, softball, football, okay? They're very popular, you know. Number 18, updating the softball field, City League softball. Number 19, sidewalk/bike route initiative. Number 22, soccer field upgrades at East Park. Boy, soccer's really getting popular, isn't it, among the youth? Yeah. Number 21, repairs at the baseball diamond. Once again, I'm assuming you folks all know what the repairs are, so what's needed, okay? Number 22, cemetery entrance road replacement. So we have a city-owned cemetery then, I take it, okay?
I assume we're talking about the main entrance off of,
the south entrance.
South entrance.
Okay,
so the one closest to the Church of the Living Word.
Correct.
Yep.
okay. Number 23, Progress Park parking lot overlay project. Okay. Number 24, housing project / program. Kind of a little bit of discussion we had earlier on the previous list, but that was more of a kind of a study. This would be like moving forward and doing something, I guess. Okay. Number 25, industrial park expansion planning with FEDA funding. Number 26, complete the work on Rick's Pharmacy building. We talked about that earlier. Okay, number 27.
Is that a given?
Now, that's, I don't know. You folks, we all in agreement that that's probably a given. If you started it, so obviously you probably want to finish
Work
it.
with that word.
But we
we're
talked a
well
little bit
into
about
it.
whether or not this was a phase 2 or something.
We're committed.
Council, keep it on there or mark it as a given? What do you want me to do?
I'd say given.
Given?
Hey,
The ribbon.
I think
Everybody on
it's a
board with
given.
that?
Yep. We're
Okay.
gonna keep moving on.
All right, that's a given. You won't be voting on that. Okay. Okay, 27, improve downtown parking with additional parking lots or imaginative reconstruction of street paths. Okay. 28, we kind of talked about a little bit before, community cleanup fix-up program or project. How did that do over here?
So over here.
It's over there.
It's got 5.
5, well, it's got strong support there. I'm not so sure, are we talking the exact same thing? Or is that just getting public support and this is actually doing it, maybe, I don't know. I can certainly leave it as on here.
My impression on this one was actually doing it, not just community support.
Okay.
So to me, it's a duplication.
It's a
Put it
duplication.
together, yeah.
Okay, so you don't need to vote on that.
Yep.
All right, that's gonna come off.
I did.
You don't put your dot on there. Okay. Okay, number 29, redesign and replace gateway signage on the 4 entrances to the city. Number 30, creek bank stabilization projects. Number 31, facilitate the building or renovation of a structure to provide for a community storm shelter. Do you have mobile home parks in town?
Yes, we do.
Do they have storm shelters?
I don't believe so.
They don't? Ooh, that's scary. Okay.
I think there used to be one years ago, like Coonley Hotel, like during World War II.
Okay,
But I mean, yeah, but
okay,
that's no more.
okay. Let's see. Well, it's one of those things, you don't need it till you need it, and then you need it bad. Yeah, okay. Let's see. Number 32, the last one on the list. Improve the outdoor severe weather siren system so it's designated to be heard indoors. That's a tough one.
And then that, in Bill's email to you, he was expanding a little bit on that, so you can,
Yeah, Kristen, do you have some
I
thoughts
was
on
just
that?
saying, like what his email said, that's not really the point of the outdoor
No, it's not.
sirens. They're meant for the people who are outside.
Yeah,
And most people, I know that there are people that don't have smartphones or anything.
Yeah.
but
yeah. That's true.
Pretty much everybody does now.
Yep.
And it comes across.
Yeah, and it does come
They'll
across.
have them call their parents and say,
Just don't turn your phone off at night.
There are programs for weather alert.
Yeah,
Or the storm radios.
yeah.
Well, I just want to say, when I have my hearing aids out, I can still hear the siren in my
Yeah,
house.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I as well. Yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
And they're fairly new.
yeah. Okay.
yeah, we can't really hear them in the hospital,
And-
but it's
Yeah.
not
And-
intended to be heard in the
Yeah.
hospital.
And one thing too, if you make it so they're louder, the people who live right by the sirens,
Oh, blows them away, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
Especially when they test them.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, okay.
I have one maybe to add.
You want to add one? Sure.
Well, on the Parks and Rec projects, we had talked about the possibility of relocating the tennis courts and maybe building outdoor pickleball courts
Okay.
because of the condition that the tennis in. And I know it says rec complex, but and I'm thinking that would be a separate location from
Okay.
what we might consider for tennis and pickleball.
Okay, so I will
Be
put that as
working with the school.
be number
and-
33, pickleball courts. Okay. Yeah, the recreation complex, that's gonna take some while to do that, and it's gonna be very costly. Pickleball courts could be something that wouldn't take quite as long or be quite as costly. Barry, you got
I've
one?
a comment on 15 and 16.
Yeah,
Isn't that what we're gonna use the old sewer plant
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
dome for?
Yeah,
oh,
cold storage.
What- Yeah, why is that on
Yeah,
there?
why is that on
probably wouldn't need to,
Right, it's gonna
Did you-
help out a lot. We're busting at the seams, actually heated storage would be better,
Mhm.
but it's expensive, so.
Yeah.
I didn't put it on.
okay,
But the black dirt storage chute building, the purpose piece behind that is for not just, it's hard to find black dirt, but the way we store it now is just in a big pile, and it, of course, disintegrates with every rain and snow and whatever. But when we need it, sometimes like for grades, or if we need it for, in the off-season, when there's a little frost in the ground or something of that nature, it'd be nice to be able to get to some good black dirt.
yeah,
And we did already one hoop building, and we utilize that for sand and salt storage.
Oh.
That works great. Now, if we just could add a couple more things in there to put maybe gold rock on one side and black
Okay.
dirt on the other side, that'd be very beneficial for us.
Is
Okay.
there room in the same location for?
I would put it at the same location, and then the cemetery, we could just truck it down there.
okay, all right, good point, okay? All right. Anything add? Item that we might have missed that you think should be on the list? Jim has already added the pickleball court, so that's number 33 on your list.
And tennis,
And tennis?
because his current tennis courts are in
Now-
horrible shape.
You want that as number 34, or you want them together?
Well, if we're gonna do it, I think we would do it together.
And
Okay.
I
so-
would, if I could recommend, we've been communicating with HD School and Franklin General Hospital on a partnership and a different location that's not on city property. So
Okay.
maybe you could put tennis/pickleball court partnership with other entities.
Okay,
Yeah.
Is that all right? Okay.
sound good, okay. Okay, word it that way. Anyone else got anything? Okay. Well, let's see, we crossed off 1, 2, 3, combined one, that's 4. 5 across, 6. 6, we are down to, we're down to probably about 27 of them. Obviously, I'm like, 10 dots would be too many. I'm gonna scale that back a little bit. I would probably go with 7.
Okay.
7, does that sound reasonable, everybody? Okay, all right, I'm gonna go with 7. Some of you have some dots left over from the last round. We'll go with 7 dots. Once again, I'm gonna afford the opportunity, anybody got a sales pitch on any one of these items? Yes, Jerry, go ahead.
Downtown parking,
Okay,
awful,
yeah,
it's awful. We
Mhm.
need, parking
Okay.
for employees and business owners. They're parking in the street, taking up customer parking.
Mhm.
We have these big, long trucks now, and it really narrows Main Street down.
Yeah.
It's scary actually to meet a vehicle
yeah,
right down the street, and you have to navigate around one of those big, long
Yeah.
trucks too. So I think we need to do some thinking about that. Downtown's the heart of the city.
Or
yeah.
back out of the diagonal parking when you're parked next to one of those big vehicles.
Ron, pull out 10 dots for Bill, and now 7 more.
Okay.
So he should have a total of 17. If you think of it, put his initials on them too,
Okay.
what we're thinking of. Sometimes I go out the door and don't leave these behind, so, not that it's impossible to work around, but it'll be uniform then. Okay. Anybody else got a sales pitch? Okay. Kristen, you got one?
Say, making sure stuff is updated, like they have updated equipment, like the Public Works or the Police
Okay.
Department, that can make or break someone's decision on whether or not they wanna work here too.
That's interesting observation, yeah. In this day and age, yeah. Anyone else? Okay, management team. Any item you want to put a sales pitch on before we start putting the dots up? Kristen took care of that for you. All right, so you start picking out your 7 top items. Ron's going to give you 7 dots. I'll get a scissors so you can cut them off.
I did use.
Some of you already have 3.
That's how I roll. I'm gonna use them all, whether I need to or not.
You have 3, so you need 4.
Give me a minute to get the sheets up. I'm probably before I get into the next thing, we're gonna go to Exhibit E. Two things on Exhibit E. This is something I always promote at all my council meetings when I do this. And that is, I tell them to consider, if things are going well for you, this is an ideal time to do this. When it's not going well, this is a little tougher. The city of Asbury, a number of years ago, adopted a code of conduct for the council members. And I said, why did you do that? I said, you're not having any problems. And the mayor said to me, that's exactly why we did it. We're not having any major issues. But we wanted to put together a code of conduct for two reasons, he said to me. He said, number one, when a new council member comes on board, like Kristen, you're fairly new, we would hand this to new council members and say, this is how we kind of conduct ourselves. This is what we want the public to have an image of our community and our council. So this is what our goal is, to follow this this outline of conduct at council meetings. And remember I gave you the grocery store incident, that sort of thing. Now, the other reason that he wanted to do it, he said, was, I want future generations to have something to look at when they come on the council. So they, doesn't mean they can't change it. They can change it anytime they want. They can totally obliterate it and get rid of it if they want, because we adopted it by simple resolution. And we wanted future generations to say, learn from what we did. Okay, learn what we thought worked well. Hopefully you will do something similar to it. Now, I wrote an article on this very topic for the League of Cities magazine. It was in Cityscape probably 8 or 10 years ago. You can probably find it on the archives, so I can send it to you. But I gave a copy of this to Ron and Steve to look at. If they think it's of some value, they can, maybe bring it up to you again and see what you think. But I always get the old question is, what if somebody said, I ain't following that, the hell with it, I'll do as I damn well please, okay? Their choice, they can certainly do it. But what you then as a council will have a tough decision to make, because I would recommend that you then take that person to the side and say, remember when we said we wanted to kind of adhere to this code of conduct? And see what that says there? I don't think that behavior is what we're expecting. Please reconsider, okay? Now, if they still say, the hell with you, I'll do what I want to please, then you as a council, which is tough to do, I really admit it, would be for you to publicly censor that council member, which doesn't mean you throw them off, that's fine. That public censor then says to the public, this is what we're dealing with, folks. This is not a fun job because of what's happening here with this council member. So you say to the public, hey folks, 2 years from now there's another election. Hopefully you make a change. If you don't, I probably won't keep doing this job. Because when the job gets to the point where you hate going to the meeting, and you thought, no way, not another council, then something's going on. You should look forward to going to this. It shouldn't be something you dread, okay? So if it's something you dread, something's happening here that's probably not for the good of the cause, okay? The second topic, by the way, any questions on that? I have other models I can send you, but I always, every time I do this, I say, now's the time to think about it, because now things are going reasonably well. Now's a good time to put it on the table for discussion. But if you do it when there's 3 council members that are just going crazy, guess what's going to happen? They're going to vote no. Now, the second thing I'll put on the council agenda that I spotted right away when I went on the website, by the way, everybody's got some nice pictures on there. Kristen, you gotta get a beautiful picture on that for me. So, but it's always fun to kind of know who I'm dealing with. But I noticed when I was looking at this, some of you were at wards, okay? I came to Anamosa and we had 4 wards and 2 at large, pretty much what you've got here. And the first election I had was, we had nobody running in one of the wards. Not a single soul ran. A council member, guy didn't even come forward. His wife and his neighbor thought he'd be good, so they wrote his name in. He got elected to city council with 2 votes, and he didn't even vote for himself. Now, ironically, he turned out to be one of the best council members I ever had, because he had no agenda when he came on board. And there was another case where I had to twist the arm of a guy to take the job. you know, because he got wrote in too. So, my point is, now might be a good time to consider whether or not it makes sense to have everybody elected at large. Because the problem is, you're having trouble probably, like a lot of cities, filling these jobs because nobody wants them. And so you probably are really difficult to get these candidates from wards. The other thing I would say to you is, this has to be done by vote of people. You cannot do this. Let the people decide. What's wrong with putting it on the ballot, explaining the pros and cons, and you can do a good job of explaining it. And let them decide how they want the system to work. It's their government. It's not ours, it's theirs. Let them decide whether or not they want to go all at large. If they don't, they'll vote no and keep the system you have. The other thing that you need to keep in mind is that people will say to you, oh, well, I like that ward system because I represent that area. That's why the ward is there. I'm representing that area. Why do we have wards? When were the wards put in? Think back. In the 1800s. What was going on in the 1800s when the ward system developed? No internet, no emails, no texts, probably no cars, no telephones. So how did you communicate with your council member? You went outside and walked down the street a little ways, and you told that council member what you wanted. This is a different world. There are so many ways to communicate with council members. Now, you don't need to worry about having a short distance between where you live and a council member lives. You're good. Now, the other thing to keep in mind, I tell people is, you may have two exceptionally good people in the same ward. One's gonna get elected, and one's not. You have now missed the opportunity of what that exceptional candidate can do and contribute to this council. Now you'll say, oh, we don't want 3 council members on the same block. Your public's gonna decide that. Let them decide who's on council, which they do. So if you've got 3 people in one block and they're all really good, the public can elect all 3 of them if they want. Or they can say, no, we don't want 3 people from the same block. Well, I'm gonna pick out just 1 or 2. Their prerogative. Once they go in that voting group, they can vote any way they want. But at least give them the choice. Give them the option of picking the 5 best people in Hampton, regardless of where they live. Makes no difference where they live. Public gets to pick the 5 best people. So you all run at large, and then let the public decide, let the chips fall where they may. So that's just my personal opinion. I have no dog in this hunt. Whatever you want to do, that's fine. But I just will share with you the history of Anamosa. We went to all at large. And really, I've never heard a single person complain. I've never had one person say, well, that's the dumbest thing we ever did. I don't have, quote, my council member. No, you're all my council members, you know? You're all on equal footing. You represent everybody now. Well, basically you still do, but you just, the allegiance that you have to that one ward, that was in the past. You know, times have changed, so. Anyway.
Could I add to that? When I first started on council, I represented the southeast part of town, and
Yeah.
I guess I always felt I was representing everyone anyway. And there was never a time like, well, we need to get our streets paved here, and I don't care about the southwest part of town. And then when I moved, it just so happened there was an opening for at-large.
Oh.
So when I moved, then I ran for that at-large position, and then ended up having to appoint
okay.
someone because I switched. They had to appoint someone to finish out, I think, my term when I was down in one of the quadrants, so
Okay, all right, thanks.
just FYI.
Okay. Any questions on that? I apologize if I sound like I was on my soapbox, but, you know, I've been in this business for a long time. I've observed a lot of cities and kind of what has worked and what doesn't work. So I just thought I'd share that with you. So, okay, with that, let's go to Exhibit E, our last thing for the night. And what I'm going to do there is just kind of go through these quickly. Once again, stop me if you say, wait a minute, I don't want that on the list. That's not representative of who we are, or you want to modify it. So, goal setting will be especially helpful for the newer council members. That's true. and probably will be. So, by the way, I have a workshop I do for IMFOA on city council orientation sessions, and so I have a handout on that. So if ever you'd want to see that handout on putting together a good orientation session for new council, I certainly would share that with you. I always tell people, you start a new job, they don't just put you in a corner and turn you loose and say, here, do the work, you'll figure it out. Usually a good orientation session is really helpful for new people. Okay. Number 2, not monopolizing time during meetings. Boy, I sure didn't do that to hear that tonight. You all had pretty good comments and good input, so that was great. Number 3, be civil always. Do not attack each other in or out of the meetings. Act like a team. That was kind of my grocery store comment, too. And I do have a handout on civility, too, if you want to see that. Okay. Number 4, do our homework in advance and avoid the aha, gotcha moments for other council members and the mayor or staff. This is why you have a city administrator. If you see something that's on the agenda or not on the agenda, call Ron. Say, Ron, could you check on this for me and get back to me? Rather than kind of catching him off guard, because usually you can have a more productive meeting if he has a little advance notice of what your concerns are. And sometimes he can probably answer the question right there on the phone, or if he can't, now he has a little time to do a little research before the council meeting to check on that, so that if it comes up, he can say, yeah, I checked on that, here's what I found out. So just as a courtesy to him, so he can do even a better job for you.
It's for Doug and Mark, too.
Yeah, same thing,
I
yeah,
call them all the time.
yeah, yeah. Hey, could you check on this
You know,
for
I
me?
ask them a question, I don't have to spend time in the council meeting about
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
Ask them, they answer my questions, and
Yeah.
if there's a problem, they take care of it.
Yeah, exactly. So that way it kind of makes their job a little easier too. Okay. Number 5, speak up at the council meetings. Always good, you know. I know some people are quieter than others, but don't be afraid to speak up. And Kristen, you're new, so I imagine you're probably the quietest one. So you'll catch on. You'll get a little more vocal as time goes on. So I noticed you were kind of quiet tonight, but you had some good observations, particularly with your background. That's a real plus with that background, because there's probably a lot of stuff you could share with your council members on that. Plus, I like to see your generation represented at the table too, because I go to the council meetings and everybody's sitting there with gray hair, old guys like me. So kudos to you for stepping up to the plate here. So
I do have gray hair.
oh no, you don't. I don't see any. So, okay, number 6, talk to your fellow councilors. We are a team, not individuals. Okay. Number 7, stay in our lanes as the governing body for the city of Hampton and steer clear of the daily duties of the staff. Yeah, the term we use in city government among city managers is micromanaging. So obviously be mindful of that, because keep in mind, you may go see an employee and give them one set of directions, and another council member may come on an hour later and give them a different set of directions. So they have to focus on what Doug is saying, what Ron's saying, so that they get the direction from one. Now, if you want that direction to change as a council member, that's what these meetings are all about. We need to change our focus on what we're doing, and then all of you as a group decide if you're going to refocus on something. So, yeah, that's a good, and this, by the way, this all came from you folks, okay? All right. Number 8, establish a city council mentor program for new council members. Comes back to my orientation session, but I like this one. I had not seen this before. I think that's a great idea to do a little mentoring program, because this is, if you've never done city government work before, this is quite an undertaking that you've agreed to do, and there's a lot to learn. So never hurts to have a good mentor anytime you have a new job. Number 9, appreciate the ability to attend the League of Cities annual conference. All of our counselors and key members would attend. Yeah, that's how I met Jim at a league conference one time. Met him there. So a lot of information. This year it's in Davenport. I think it's middle of September. So if that's something you can do, even if you could just get away for one day, Thursday's the big day. See if you can get there for Thursday, and that way, if those of you who are working wouldn't have to take more than just the one day.
I think it's great for team building.
Yeah, yeah.
Together.
Yep, yep. So, okay, flag me down if you have anything you want me to. Okay, number 10, appreciates the management team's open door policy, but can be intimidating. Boy, you don't look intimidating to me. Of course, a guy wearing a gun would be a little intimidating, so I get that part. So if that's something you feel, just let the person know. You know, just say, hey, I would have come in and sent you, but I wasn't sure if I could or should, so,
Well,
That-
I put that, I
Oh.
wrote that.
okay.
It is intimidating to come through that door and talk to the girls through the glass plate. You know, the door's locked, you gotta wait for them to unlock the door and
Oh.
let you in, and
Yeah.
It's kind of
It's
freaky.
it's security.
intimidating.
Yeah.
I know, it's.
Okay. Okay. Okay, where are we? Let's see. Let's see, number 11. Yeah, keep communications respectful, continue to do this. I'm glad to see that you're already doing that sort of thing, so that's great. Okay.
Can we make that a given?
You can almost call that a given, yes. Now, usually I don't worry about voting on any of these things. What I'm looking for here is you tell me, get that the hell off the list. That doesn't belong there. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. Okay. Number 12, work together on the priorities for the city. Number 13, continue to make sure city council has the information ahead of time. So, all good. That's where Ron comes in and your management team to get you the information. If at any time you think, I really need a little bit more, pick up the phone and call them. Send them a text, send them an email, say, can you give me a little more information on this?
I
There's-
think they're really good at getting
Yeah.
us the information ahead of
Yeah,
time.
that's great. Okay, okay. Number 12, do away with council comments at the council meetings. It's a waste of time. Okay, I know some council members can get a little, winded at some of these meetings. Once again, I suppose you could do a time limit. I suppose you could take it totally off the agenda if you wanted to, but I guess if I were you, I'd initially start out and say, let's kind of watch this for a little bit. Let's keep to the task at hand. It should be city stuff, that's what it should be, city related to. It shouldn't be, oh, I'm going on a trip next week, that shouldn't. That's where you call Ron and say, Ron, I'm going to miss that council meeting because I'm going to be out of town. So then he shares that with the mayor. That probably wouldn't be any, besides that, I wouldn't want to put that out, I'm going to be gone next week for the robbers out there to know. Oh, that'll be a good place to go.
I think the council comments are important, like Jim.
Yeah.
He reports on the historical society
Yeah.
and what's going on there and
Yeah.
whatever else you're involved in, which is everything. And I'm the city council person on the board for the chamber, so I think it's important that I share with everybody what
Yeah. Okay.
you're spending your money.
I'm going to strike that. Now, if the person that, I don't know where it came, who brought it up, but if that's an important thing for you to do, at your next council meeting, ask for that to be put on the agenda and vote on it. I want the agenda modified to do away with that part. Put that on the agenda. But it wouldn't be a bad idea to just have a brief discussion about it at the council meeting. Say, is this value, is it not value? And then maybe just kind of lay out some informal parameters. There's where the mayor, can help out, and kind of advise anybody before you get into it, say, keep it to city business, keep it short. Now, we all want to get home. So I'm going to take that off and then let you handle that, at a future council meeting. Okay, now I'm going to go to number 15. And as you saw, there's a new copy on that. So these are 15, 16, 17, 18 did come from you folks, okay? They did not come from staff, okay? One form came in and they checked the wrong box. So at first I thought I was sleeping and missed it, but it had the wrong box. Okay, number 15, at each council meeting, have a different council member who will lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. That's great that you do that. But once again, you can kind of talk about this at future council meetings and decide if that's what you want to do. So, who leads it now? Mayor? Okay, okay. Well, you're getting paid the big bucks to do that. Yeah.
Right, gotta do something.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, number 16, have a hot dog and beans night at the council chambers. Before the meeting, council members to serve hot dogs with beans and fixings to the council members, attendees prior to the meeting, and then mingle with the attendees and each other. So, had never seen that one before. So, once again, that would not be anything you would start doing without having a good discussion of it at a council meeting, because there's going to be a little charge here, and, yeah.
I think that might have a conflict with open meetings law.
That's true, yeah, you got to be careful on that.
About
Yeah.
stuff that's
Yeah.
even on the agenda.
Yeah, maybe I should
With the
just,
quorum, you know.
yeah, maybe I should strike it for now, and then if that's something you want to do, bring it up, put it on the agenda, have a good discussion of it. So I'm going to take it off the list for now. You know it's out there, it's been proposed, so, everybody okay with that? Okay, I'm going to take that off. Number 17, have one workshop each quarter early in the morning, Egg McMuffins and coffee all the way around. I like that idea. I like Egg McMuffins. I don't know, I wouldn't like the early in the morning thing. I'm not a morning person.
For those of us that work, that
Yeah, that would,
wouldn't work.
once again, maybe I should take that one off too. You know, I don't want the public thinking they're going to come here and get free Egg McMuffins. So, and once again, if whoever put that on there, they can bring it up at another meeting, okay? But I'm not sensing that you're all on board. Hey, that's a great idea, let's do it, okay? And actually, two of these things probably should have been over in the list of programs and initiatives. It's kind of a new thing, so. 18, adopt a portion of the walkway system adopt a portion of the walking trail system running through town for beautification. Once again, that should have been on the other list. That really doesn't pertain to what I'm talking about here, the team building. So I'll take that one off too, and then maybe when you look at the draft report, you can see if that's in there anywhere. So, okay. Now we're getting into 19 and 20. This is where your management team members had suggestions. 19, work towards goals, not pushing through individual wants. That's what this purpose of this whole session is to come up with agreement on what your goals are going to be. And like I told you before, if you want to add something, that's fine, but then ask Ron, we had to talk about which one we're going to move down the list if you're going to add that one to it. So, and that kind of gets, I don't think that'll be a problem for anybody in the future, so. Number 20, listen to staff, trust the staff, use their knowledge and years of experience. You do have a lot of years of experience here. You're quite fortunate to have that. So that's 21, do not micromanage the city staff. I already kind of talked about that a little bit. Okay. Always keep in mind, you have no power individually, absolutely none. The only time you have power is when you all come together in a duly publicized meeting, and it's on the agenda. That is the only, if you do anything other than that, that action will not be legal and could be thrown out. So always keep in mind, the only time you got power is when you all sit down together and work it out. So, and let's see, number 22, recognize due process. Talked about that earlier.
I almost wonder on that one if it is more appropriate to say emphasize due process as far
Yeah.
as what we do.
Yeah. Yeah. I suppose it could change that. Yeah. Okay, I'll make that one little change unless someone disagrees. Emphasize the due process. 23, make decisions for the benefit of the community as a whole and not the squeaky wheel. I had to smile when I use that term quite often. We tend to do that in city government a lot, so. 24, take personal feelings out of professional decisions. Okay. 25, communicate with respect. 25, foster realistic expectations. 27, address questions, concerns with city staff prior to the meeting. One of the things I had talked about with you. 28, trust the process and city staff. Results take time. Often there's already work being done behind the scenes. Doug kind of touched on that a little bit earlier. 29, Ask for staff recommendations and respect their input when faced decisions. That's a key one there too, because just simply because Ron gives you his recommendation, or Doug, whatever, doesn't necessarily mean the council has to do that. Okay, you have the final word on everything, that policies, programs, projects, but at least hear them out. Usually they have some pretty good logic behind it, so hear them out. If you want to do something different, you certainly can do that. You are duly elected by the people. Every time I run into council, city administrators, they are so frustrated with their council, or their city council, I say, never forget this term, duly elected by the people, okay? They weren't here because somebody anointed them. They put their name on the ballot, they went through an election, and they were duly elected by the people. As a city manager, I always respected that. And I never took offense if they didn't take every single recommendation I gave them. But I would give them the pros and cons, and then trust their judgment. And so that's what you got to do. You got to trust the collective wisdom of everybody together. And that collective wisdom usually will benefit the community. But hear them out, hear the pros and cons, ask them questions, because they've got some experience that they can share with you. But, okay, number 29, ask for staff recommendations and respect the input. We already covered that. 30, have an open mind. Listen to other council members. I can tell you many times council members said to me, they came to the meeting thinking this is what they're going to do. But then when they heard their fellow council members kind of point a few things out, it gave them a new perspective. And what's interesting about this process is you all come from different perspectives. Like Kristen brings a new perspective to the council, younger generation, a job in public safety. She's going to bring to the table a different perspective sometimes. So don't be afraid once in a while to say, Kristen, what do you think? Because you can probably have some valuable input on these decisions. So, and so it's always good to be open to what the other person is saying. So, 31, address personal issues with each other outside of the open meetings. Yeah, if you don't like somebody at this table, you don't have to like them, okay? But you need to respect them. And you need to respect the office, because they were duly elected just like you. So, and you don't have to agree with them, but at least give them the due respect that they deserve. And if you've got an issue, do it outside the council chambers with them. Say, I don't like your tone of voice on that, okay, or whatever it might be, okay? And just say, where were you coming from? Why did you take that approach? I'm listening. Tell me about it. Why did you do that? And that, rather than doing it in a public meeting, just, and this is where the mayor has a key role in all this. It's not written in his job description, but one of the things he can do is when he sees something like that taking place, rather than ridicule him at the meeting, may say, hey, Kristen, I want to talk to you after the council meeting. Why did you do that? Explain to me where you're coming from. And maybe there's a logical reason for it, but rather than getting into a big confrontation at the meeting, the mayor can play a key role here in kind of keeping this team functioning well together and moving forward, and trying to keep these meetings something that you enjoy doing and coming to. So, okay. Any questions so far? Okay, let's see. I am at, I'm going to the last page. Okay, number 32, remain positive and respectful. Communicate effectively, yes. 33, utilize common sense and supporting data for decision making. Yeah, obviously you want to do both of those things when making decisions. 34, once again, the same comment, trust your staff for honest input. If at any time you question the staff, pick up the phone, send them an email, say, okay, I see what you got here. Tell me again where you're coming from on this, okay?
Maybe you should strike that. It's kind of repetitive.
Yeah, what I'm going to do too, especially under staff, I'm going to combine some of these things. Yeah, but I just wanted to give them to you just the
Yeah.
way they came.
Yep.
But in the end, if you're okay with it, I'm going to tweak it, combine, kind of what I call cleaning it up a little bit. But I thought it was important for you to see kind of what was coming in, so. Number 35, don't assume that you have all the information without doing your due diligence. That's good, goes without saying. 36, ask questions, bring solutions with problems. Be reasonable and with the expectations. kind of covered that earlier. Once again, I'm going to combine some of these. Knowing the funding sources, that's critical, because it's one thing to say we're going to do something. It's another thing, how do you pay for it, okay? So that's a good thing to know. And city government accounting and funding is a difficult animal to get your arms around. It's unlike anything you've probably seen before. So don't be afraid to ask questions like, how come I can't pay for that out of road use tax fund? We need some new tasers and new rifles, and there's a big balance in the road use tax fund. Now, the way to look at it is there's about 6 or 8 checkbooks, and you don't write a check out of the road use tax fund for a taser for the police department. That's his money to work with. So keep in mind that concept. There's like, even though there's one checking out, there's technically like 6 checkbooks or 7 checkbooks, whatever the funds are that you're working with. So let's see, what number were I is?
39?
39. Council staff, be mindful of the roles and maintain. This little handbook, if you don't have this, I urge you to get it. And this is the 2022 version. This is the Iowa League of Cities Handbook for Mayors and Councils. If you have never read this, I cannot stress to you enough the importance of getting a copy, having it handy, and at some point at least look through it and see what's there. Because most every question that you're going to see in an agenda is going to be talked about in here. One of the things that's in here is your role as a council member. So, I don't know, do they have copies?
I use them in orientation,
Oh, great, perfect.
and I have copies in my office.
There you go. The whole thing about roles is covered in here. Now, this little publication is near and dear to my heart, because the very first edition, Tim Shields and I and one other intern wrote it, okay? Now, they haven't really changed the format that much. Every 2 years, they update it. But if you look into their list of contributors, you're going to see my name. That goes all the way back to 1993 and 94 when we did the first edition. So, but there's a lot of good stuff in there. It's kind of boring reading at times, but at least you want to know what's in there, so at any given time you can go back and reread that chapter. But in my personal opinion, I think it's still very well done. Let's see. Number 40, derogatory comments in meetings can create a hostile work environment, erode staff morale, expose city to lawsuits. I kind of talked about that earlier. We didn't talk about the thing about lawsuits, but yeah, in this day and age, you got to be mindful of that too. City of Cedar Rapids has gone through some of this stuff where derogatory comments were made at council meetings, and then, lawsuits were filed, and, it doesn't take much anymore for people to start suing. So always be mindful that every comment you make here is a public comment. And if some reason you do something that you overstepped your bounds or broke the law, some of these things, for example, if you violate the open meetings law, you're personally on the hook for those things, okay? The city as a whole is not going to pay your fine if you violate the open meetings law. You're going to have to pay that fine. And they just stiffen those comments, so always be mindful of that. Read that section before you even have I always tell people, read that section before you even have your first meeting on what's in that open meetings law. So, number 41, evaluate how social media is used to perceived by the public and other elected officials and city staff. There are days when I shake my head and think social media is the dumbest thing that was ever invented, but there is some value to it. My wife is on there every day. I'm not on there, but every once in a while she'll say, honey, get over here and look at this. You got to see this, okay? But the problem is that sometimes incorrect information comes out, and now you as a city, what do? Do you correct it? What do you do? Years ago when I was a young city manager, I took the position, just ignore it, it'll go away. As I've gotten older and watched this stuff evolve, I look back in my career and there's few cases, quite a few, that where I wished I would have said, wait a minute, that is totally off base. This is how it is, and this is why the city took this action or whatever. And so, but everybody has their own approach to social media. If I had it to do over again, my approach would have been, I see something wrong, I'm going to call it out. Because the problem is, when something is wrong and it's not called out, then there's a certain element of the public that says, oh, there must be something to that. Nobody challenged it, nobody objected. And of course, you don't want to get into one of these matches you're back and forth, but at least the initial comment, say, this is what the facts are, folks, you know? The main thing is to get the facts out. What are the facts? And you, as a council member, when you see inaccuracies, you can do a lot to correct that. And if you don't have all the information right away, there's the gentleman you call and say, Ron, I just saw this on social media. Is there any truth to it? Can you help me explain that if I get blindsided at the grocery store someday about, well, I saw that on social media, it must be right. And then Ron can give you the information that you can counteract that inaccurate information that you sometimes see. It can also be a real plus for you too, you know. People can say, boy, I really appreciate the community-wide cleanup program, you know, and I really appreciate, you know, the fact we got good water, and, you know, so it can go both ways, but keep an eye on it, I guess. Once again, this is my personal opinion. 42, elected officials should refer citizens' complaints to the appropriate city staff. Kind of talked about that earlier. It's good to, you know, get Ron or your management team on board of what you're hearing, because that's important for them to hear, you know, and even if it's not always accurate, it's good to correct any misperceptions out there. You know, it gives them the opportunity to say, well, no, that's not the way it is. But if that's the perception, maybe we got a little work to do to clean that perception up. And maybe we put something else out there to kind of correct that so the public does know what's going on. So, let's see. Where am I at? So, okay, number 43. We kind of talked about eliminate negative comments towards city staff that are perceived as hostile. Like I talked about earlier, that has quite an impact on recruiting new employees. Because if that's all potential recruits see, I wouldn't work at a place like that. So, yeah. Now, I will kind of clean this all up, combine it a little bit, and then you'll see it as a draft, you know, and you can clean it up as well. So, any questions on what we just covered on Exhibit E? You were pretty quiet as I went through. Nobody flagged me down too much. I always tell people, you know, when you're this old and you've been in the city government for 52 years, it's hard not to sound like you're preaching. I get that. This is your town. It's not my town. You can take some of the comments I had with a grain of salt, but all I can tell you is this is what I've seen work and this is where I've seen issues. And then, so kind of keep that in mind. Now, last thing I have, oh, I'm getting over here, but I do one last thing. I'm going to put out some handouts over there that you're welcome to take if you want. This is from Cedar Falls. It's in a snapshot. It tells you about their city government and what rules they got to follow, okay? This one is how to do a good, effective meeting, and the backside is how to get along with your boards and commissions to make them productive. Ron, by the way, has all these things. This one is, once you identify your top goals, take the time to have your staff put together an action plan on how to get that goal accomplished. That's what this is. I suggested every 3 months you do an update on how you're doing. This is an update on how you're doing on your goals, an example. That's what I used to do in Anamosa. How to communicate with your citizens once you got your goals adopted. This is what I've seen other cities do. For example, somebody had this open houses, city tour. I talk about that there. But don't show them the water utility, okay? 10 habits of highly effective councils. But 10 years ago, the league challenged me and said, you've been in this business a long time. You worked with a lot of councils. What have you observed on those councils that are really getting a lot done for the community? And I thought, you know what? And I ran across an article and just nailed it. I put my thoughts together and I did this short little handout, top 10 habits of highly effective councils. I actually did a workshop on that for the league. Capital improvements plan. You have a capital improvements plan. That's great. This talks a little bit about why you need to have one and why you need to keep it updated. So that is over there as well. And the last one I have is civility in city government. About 6 years ago, the league said, we're seeing a lot of problems with civility in city government. And I said, I can do a workshop on that. And this talks about the civility in city government and why it's so important. Because like I said earlier, this is the window of your community to the outside world. And so be careful what image you project to the outside world. You're on YouTube, I understand, and something else?
Zoom.
Zoom, it's out there, folks. And once you say it, you can't pull it back. It's gone. So, okay, that is everything I had. Is there anything I didn't cover tonight that you would like me to cover? Okay, Mayor, I'm done. You want to adjourn the meeting?
I can't think of anything, and we really appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've listened to you before at the league.
Yeah.
And you always have good information, and I
Good.
always listen.
All right, good.
Thank you for being here.
You bet. Obviously, you can take any of my thoughts and use them, or you can ignore them all. It's entirely up to you.
Thanks, Pat.
All right,
Yep.
thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'll stick these handouts over here quick for anybody who would like some, and if not, you won't offend.